Oh, what's up, guys? Can you hear me? Oh, we're doing good. How's everyone doing today? I see you just see in the chat. Salute, Lisa Bales. Salute. I'm gonna wait for people to come in because we were having this discussion on another stream and it had to end. And basically, what the argument was that Get the Smoke was saying that Anthony Joshua is a paper champion because the people he defeated, he got the belts and he unified the belts after Fury had essentially vacated them because he retired. But I was making the argument that he didn't just vacate them; he had retired, and we didn't know if Tyson Fury would come back. So AJ picking up the belts, why is that to blame him, and how does that make Wilder a legitimate champion? And I would have been fine if he had said that Wilder was an illegitimate champion or paper champion as well, because then he thinks nobody's a champion. I guess sure, whatever, right? But he said Wilder's a legit champion. What's up, Lou? Intangible Boxing, how we doing? AJ's a paper champion. Mike from Boston, you want to tell me why AJ's a paper champion? If AJ's a paper champion, Deontay Wilder is a paper champion. And you could say Tyson Fury used to be not a paper champion, but now he's a paper champion because Wilder's a paper champion. He said that Wilder was a legit champion because he won the belt off of Stiverne and then legitimized himself as a champion for defeating Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola, the glorified journeyman. Chris Arreola does not legitimize your championship title. And he wanted to say that Klitschko didn't because he hadn't fought in a long time. He may have been on top of the division for about a decade, but it didn't count. That made no sense at all. How does defeating Klitschko not legitimize you as a champion, but defeating Chris Journeyman Arreola make you a champion? That makes no sense. What's up, Black and Brown Boxing? Sporting Advantage, how we doing, guys? If anyone wants to hop on, talk about this or disagree, Mike from Boston. You said AJ is a paper champ. Eric Ferdinand, what's up? You said Wilder won the belt from a champion. He won a belt from a man who won the belt from a vacant title against Chris Arreola. Again, this is all going to overrate Chris Arreola. I don't know why. Chris Arreola has never been a top heavyweight. He's never been that guy can become a legitimate champion and unify. No. Okay, you're saying he defended the title 10 times. Yes, if he defended the title 10 times, that would make his championship legit. But the question is, who was he fighting in those 10 defenses? Who did he truly fight? Like, you can say he legitimized it later down the line, but fighting Chris Arreola, Gerald Washington, Eric Molina, that doesn't make you a champion. Eric Molina already got sparked by Chris Arreola in the first round before he lost to Stiverne twice. But he lost to Vitaly Klitschko as well. How does you knocking out Chris Arreola make you legit champ? How is Klitschko not a paper champion? Because he unified the belts and he dominated the division for multiple years. There was no one to contest his skill. Klitschko dominated the division. Him and his brother dominated. Vitaly held the WBC and he held every other title. No one could beat both of them. Vitaly had retired sooner. But that didn't mean that, it's not like Wilder could have never fought Klitschko. If he had fought him, then maybe you can say Wilder was a true undisputed champion. I'm not saying that Wilder's a paper champion, but if you're going to say AJ's a paper champion, then Wilder's a paper champion. What's up, Rascalot? I'm biased or biased boxing talk. What's up, guys? It's just this discussion where if you're going to say AJ is a paper champion, you have to keep the same energy for Wilder. If you're going to say both of them are paper champions, sure. Then you're at that point where we disagree on a fundamental level that cannot be disputed. Who never fought Vitaly? Vitaly? Yeah. Wilder never fought Vitaly. So if you want to say that AJ only got his belts because Fury vacated, you can say the exact same thing for the WBC title. And in fact, it wasn't a vacate. It was a retirement because we didn't know Fury was going to come back. He didn't come back till 3 years later. And then he was fighting like Pineda and stuff. I mean, those aren't high caliber fighters. We didn't know Fury was truly back until he had fought Wilder for the first time and got arguably robbed by most all media everyone in media and everyone in boxing and everyone who was on the YTVC that wasn't completely biased for Wilder was saying that he was robbed by Wilder. A draw. He won 2, 3, 4 rounds at maximum. The 4 rounds being with the knockdown. So 2 rounds and then 2 knockdowns. I don't know where Get This Smoke is. I sent a message to him in a group chat. We didn't say Vlad was never undisputed. No, I never said Vlad was undisputed. I said him and his brother held all the belts. They're not going to fight each other, obviously. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that they were both so elite that, you know, they both had titles. But I never said Vladimir Klitschko was undisputed. I said he was unified. Yeah, in order to settle for undisputed and lineal and unified, you have to have AJ and Fury fight, because those are the 2 guys that have every piece of the puzzle right now. I'm glad to see everyone coming in now. I'm just going to wait. If anyone wants a link, I'll drop it right now. You can come up and just say your thoughts, or if you disagree, then we can start a debate. But I just can't be bothered to say that Chris Arreola legitimizes you as a champion, but Vladimir Klitschko and Joseph Parker doesn't. That just makes no sense to me on the fundamental level. And you have to keep the same energy with them, and that's why I don't really respect the take that, oh, Wilder's a real champion because he defeated Chris Arreola, or he defeated Eric Molina, but AJ isn't. Even though he was beating Klitschko, he also beat Molina. He beat Brazil. He got the belt from Charles Martin. He just fought Dillian White. He goes on to fight Carlos Takam, in this order: Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin. You know, those are all top 10 fighters in the division. Povetkin is a proven fighter who's only ever lost to Vladimir Klitschko. So how is you going to say that, oh, that doesn't make you a real champion, but Chris Arreola does? Eric, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. I think he had some issues. Maybe you couldn't hear me. We can wait for Get This Smoke, or I can just kind of talk about this whole thing where people want to discredit AJ and then still say Wilder's more accomplished, when the reality is that if you're going to say AJ is unaccomplished, then Wilder is just as, if not more, unaccomplished. What's up, Eric? How you doing?
Yeah, what's up? Sorry, I couldn't hear anything first time I came on.
No, that's all right, man. I'm kind of continuing the talk. This Mike from Boston guy seems to think that Wilder's a real champion, AJ isn't. So beating Luis Ortiz twice means nothing. The first one meant something because it was the actual first test. And it's kind of sad that you have to have a guy who people hype up as being this amateur legend, even though he never qualified for the Olympics or he never won anything significant in the amateurs, when guys like Alexander Povetkin are far more accomplished as amateurs and professionals than Luis Ortiz. And Luis Ortiz is a man older than 40 years old. What's up?
The funny thing is, we're not saying Wilder isn't a champion. What we are saying is, if you're going to legitimize him as a champion, then you have to do the same for AJ.
Exactly.
You can't call AJ a paper champion, because the funny thing is, I was just looking at Smoke was saying that Arreola makes Wilder a legitimate champion. I'm guessing Ortiz makes him a legitimate champion, being Ortiz.
Yeah.
Ortiz is legitimized as a good fighter by beating Brian Jennings. Klitschko beat Brian Jennings before he lost to Fury.
Yeah, so he wants to say that he didn't look good before beating Pulev was the last good victory.
Yeah, no, he beat Brian Jennings after he beat Pulev. So, like, this is the contradiction stuff I don't understand. You cannot say Arreola legitimizes someone as a champion. They don't. You're not a legitimate champion until you defend your belt anyway. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, and the kind of fights that he fills his defenses with, you have Stavern twice and Ortiz twice. I thought the first Ortiz fight mattered, but really to fight him again, I don't think anyone was asking for it, especially not on pay-per-view. And the Stavern fight, no one really wanted to see. I mean, Stavern hadn't accomplished a single thing, you know? the main thing I want to say is if Anthony Joshua is a paper champion, then Wilder is. But I don't mind calling Wilder a legit champ. He did something that's historically significant. You just got to keep the same energy with those two fighters.
Yeah,
one's a paper.
I have no issue with saying Wilder's was a legitimate champion because he beat the champion. Right? That's a simple. Anything that happened before he beat the champion, that's not his fault. It's the same way as AJ with Fury, and the Fury situation. It's Fury didn't retire. He got stripped of the IBF belt due to mandatory reasons. He got stripped. So as soon as he won the belt and signed for the rematch, he got stripped by the IBF. So that's why Charles Martin and whoever it was, I can't remember his name, fought for that belt.
Oh, yeah.
No.
The Russian guy.
No, the Russian guy. That's why they fought for that belt, because he actually got stripped of that belt because there's a mandatory in place. But because the Vlad rematch was signed, he got stripped. Yeah, but he got stripped, which I didn't agree with, but he got stripped.
So,
but then again, it didn't turn out to. He didn't end up fighting anyway. He ended up retiring.
Okay, I feel like there's two parallel arguments going on. What I was arguing was about unifications being the end all justification in and of themselves, right? That's a different conversation than whether or not AJ is a legitimate champ or whether or not he has legitimized his paper championship through his opposition. Those are two separate conversations, right? So while beating Klitschko legitimizes him as a champ, he now becomes suspect as a unified champ because Klitschko.
He doesn't, because he beat Parker.
No, let me finish. I just said Klitschko, right? So
yeah,
now
I know, but
let me finish Klitschko and then I'll get to Parker. So now he's a unified champ with AJ with Vlad, and so he goes into a fight to make him a legit unified champion with Parker. But the issue is that Parker himself is a paper champ. So at no point does his unifications come against non-paper champs. That's the issue with the unification.
Parker isn't a paper champ though.
Okay, so
because Parker he won the belt and defended it twice.
The issue is not whether he defended it. The question is, who do you defend it against? Andrade.
But who did Wilder defend his against?
Andrade also defended his belt. Correct? But he's still a paper champ. Charlos defended his belt. He's still a paper champ. It's because who he had his defenses against. One could argue that Korobov legitimized Charlo as a champ. One could make that argument. But what I'm saying is,
but there's a difference there.
Okay.
They both Andrade won a vacant belt.
Okay.
Wilder didn't win a vacant belt, and neither did AJ.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Okay, but the issue is who did they win their belts against?
All right, get the smoke really quick. I'm gonna add a guy to the stream. He was in support of I guess your argument. Mike, what's up, man?
Yeah, like, and this whole idea about paper champions, you guys gloss over like actual the metrics that would legitimize somebody or delegitimize somebody as a champion. It's not. It's who you fought and also what happened in the fight. If at the end of the fight, between Charles Martin and the guy whose name nobody cares to remember, right? That guy. At the end of that fight, there was still no clear idea of who the champion was. And the idea that Fury was retired, and in the same manner that Vitaly was retired, doesn't bear scrutiny when you consider the fact that Vitaly was several years out of the ring, but due to injury, an old guy who never fought again was at the end of his career versus Tyson Fury, who was embroiled in a PED scandal and was actually at the peak or maybe even the beginning of his career that then continued on. Right.
Let me talk about the Fury retirement. What I meant by that was that Fury had been bloated up in weight. He had been doing drugs. He had been partying. For all intents and purposes, he was unable to fight. He wouldn't have been sanctioned to fight. So for all intents and purposes, he was retired. We didn't know he would come back. It's not like he said, give me 3 years to work out the weight and I'll come back.
You guys are you guys are conflating things. Also, like he didn't blow up.
Before you carry on,
let Eric talk for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just say. Also, Fury had an obligation before he retired to fight Klitschko again. Remember, he got Klitschko's belts. He had an obligation to give Klitschko a chance to get his belts back, and he didn't fulfill that. So you can say, "Oh, Fury was a champion." Hell no, because he didn't fulfill that. What he did was retire. He did not take his rematch, and he retired.
That's fine. So, that's a separate argument. That's a separate argument. Then he lost his belts by getting beat in the ring. That's the issue about the paper. I got it, but the point that you're arguing illustrates why the other guys are paper champions. The fact that you're going into detail about how Fury got stripped doesn't make these other guys any less paper champions.
You have to. What we're saying is that Fury wasn't in the ring, so there's no way that they could fight the real champion. So when he's retired,
that doesn't legitimize their claims.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. Because Fury. All right. First off, there's still other guys to face. Like I said, with Wilder's number 3. He beat the number 2 and the number 1 in front of him. But AJ did not beat the next guy who was at that point Ortiz.
He beat the champion.
Let me finish. He wasn't the champion. That's my point. Actually, Luis Ortiz was the champion. What they did was go around because Luis Ortiz was the interim WBA champion. When there was no champion, what should have happened was Luis Ortiz got the championship fight. But what they did was negotiate a fact so Vladimir Klitschko could do it. Let me finish. If like AJ went back and fought Luis Ortiz, then I would be like, yeah, now you have the legitimate WBA championship because you fought the actual guy you were supposed to fight in order to become the champion. But that is a totally separate and apart thing from the contract negotiations rematch negotiations between Fury and whatever issues he was having with PDs or just being a prisoner of his own success or a victim of his own success. Right? That is a completely different thing. Now when we're talking about Joseph Parker,
wait,
because
let me talk on that one. Like, let me finish with the Klitschko one. When you talk about Klitschko and Luis Ortiz being the interim champion, Klitschko was supposed to fight for the WBA title again against Fury, but Fury retired. So the WBA said, okay, you can still fight for that WBA title because we already promised you that fight. So the interim title doesn't even come into play. Klitschko was already going to fight for that belt, but Fury retired.
Right. All you're illustrating is the inner machinations of how he became a paper champion. You're not describing.
But that's not being a paper champion.
You're not describing Klitschko had more. Listen, you be not become the reason how you become a not paper champion is by beating somebody legitimately in the ring. It is not behind petitioning and guys not taking rematches. No, he didn't. He got his ass whooped in the ring, and then he petitioned the WBA to fight a totally different guy for the championship who shouldn't have been fighting in the first place. No. Because it should have been Vladimir Klitschko. It should have been Vladimir Klitschko versus Luis Ortiz, not Vladimir Klitschko versus AJ. Yes, it should have.
Listen, Klitschko was supposed to fight Fury. Simple as that.
Yes, and so Luis Ortiz was the next one.
Luis Ortiz didn't want to fight.
He did want to fight. He took step-aside money on the assurance that
he
was
going to be next. If you take step-aside money, you don't want to fight.
That's fine. That's fine. That's not the point. The point is whether or not he was the legitimate champion. The issue is whether or not AJ is now the legitimate champion by beating a guy who was not the champion. The champion, the only guy who had a belt at that point was Luis Ortiz. It was not Vladimir.
No, he didn't. He didn't have a belt. He didn't have a belt.
Luis Ortiz was the interim WBA champion.
He did not have a belt.
He was the interim WBA champion. Listen,
that's not a belt.
If you understand, Eric, just hold on a second. When there is no champion, it is the interim champion who is supposed to become the champion. The reason why that's why Luis Ortiz, they had to give him step-aside money because it was his title to fight for.
Did he accept
he took the step-aside money. He took the step-aside money. So therefore, he didn't want to fight.
No, it's not that he didn't want to fight, and it also doesn't make you less of a paper champion.
Get the smoke. I got a question for you. What's your argument?
My argument is about the legitimacy of AJ's unifications.
No, that's not what my argument was.
I know. You jumped into an argument I was having with Eddie because Eddie said that I said belts don't matter, and I was explaining to Eddie what I was talking about when I said what is more important than the
Do you
belt.
see the name of this stream? The name of this stream is
IBT,
what makes a champion legitimate.
I got you. What the issue is that you jumped into a conversation that I was having about Eddie about something else, and then changed it to a conversation about who is a paper champion. But that's not actually what they.
That one is a different argument.
But that's not the right.
So
But the issue. Yeah, go ahead.
So get this smoke. So the argument is that Wilder isn't a paper champion. Am I correct?
Yeah, there are no paper champions at this point. Nobody's a paper champion right now.
He said AJ was a paper champion.
No, it didn't. Right. I said AJ was a paper champion until he fought Klitschko.
Yeah.
But the issue is not whether or not he's a paper champion. Now the issue is about unification. That was my overall point.
No, my issue was that you said Chris Arreola legitimized Wilder as a champion,
yes,
and I
he did.
disagree.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did. Yes, because he did. Because
how does that legitimize him?
No,
Who is Chris Arreola to make you a champion? How does this guy 36-4-1 make you a champion?
I'll tell you how. Because those were the guys ranked above Deontay Wilder when Vitaly Klitschko retired. Not only that,
that was a whole year ago. That was an entire year ago.
Right. So there's no expiration date on that. But whatever. Let me finish. And the other part of it, I got it. Okay, it's when the rankings changed, but the rankings didn't. But anyway, and if I could finish, Chris Arreola was also a former title challenger.
The same way challenging and failing to get a title makes you, you beat the guy who failed against the other champion. That makes you a champion now. That's not how that works.
The same way Deverenchenko would legitimize Charlo and Andrade, even though he lost his title shots, he's still a title challenger.
So 1 second, get this smoke.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I just ask you this? So that means Eric Molina, who's a challenger, basically who AJ fought after Wilder, that legitimized him as a champion, surely.
I already said that Vladimir Klitschko.
No, but he fought Eric Molina before.
Right, but Eric Molina at that point, Eric Molina at that point had been a title challenger, sure, but Eric Molina at that point also wasn't really legitimate. He wasn't really a legitimate title challenger. I didn't say Eric Molina was
Chris Arreola.
But Chris Arreola was. Chris Arreola already beat Chris. Oh, okay, so apparently you don't know who Jamil McCline is. Okay, you can laugh, but really what it is you weren't around for this stuff, and now you got to go back and relitigate history.
No, I don't. What I'm saying is, if you're going to use Chris Arreola, because
Chris Arreola was a real one, Eric Molina was not.
If you're going to use Chris Arreola,
Chris Arreola,
he lost lost 2 world title fights.
Chris Arreola,
he lost them.
Chris Arreola was first off a legitimate title contender. Eric Molina, when Eric Molina fought Deontay Wilder, do you consider him a legitimate title challenger? Do you want to look at what Eric Molina's record looked like when he fought Deontay Wilder versus what Chris Arreola? Let me finish. Exactly. Do you want to look at not what the numbers were, but who he fought versus?
Okay. Let me do that.
Can you please? Can I talk to one guy and the other guy stop interrupting me and let me get my whole thought out? If you want to look at Chris Arreola, if you want to look at Chris Arreola's record when he fought Vitaly Klitschko, what you will find is Chris Arreola was a legitimate title contender.
Yes, but he fought Vitaly Klitschko years apart from fighting Deontay Wilder.
That's not okay. Are you trying to say that he wasn't a legitimate title contender because he fought Vitaly Klitschko so long ago? Because all I said was listen. All I said was
let me highlight the issue.
All I'm saying is Chris Arreola was a legitimate title contender. That guy. The reason why Deontay Wilder was a legitimate champ because he beat the other guys that were ranked ahead of him. He couldn't beat Vitaly Klitschko because all he could beat was Chris Arreola and Bain Stavern and Vitaly Klitschko in order to legitimize the championship. Since Vitaly Klitschko wasn't available, what he did was beat Chris Arreola and Bain Stavern.
Okay, all right, get the smoke. Okay, go ahead.
Go, man. No, you got it.
No, okay. You know what? I see what's going on over here. All right, forget all of this titles and all of this legitimate champions and shit. Is freaking Vladimir Klitschko a better win, regardless of what the circumstances, better than bum ass fat ass Chris Arreola? That's the question.
Oh yeah.
Then what is all of this about? Because if we're talking about paper champions, this dude was a paper champion.
I already listen. I already said that Vladimir Klitschko was legitimized AJ. Now they want to talk about Eric Molina.
Actually, at first you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You changed your mind.
No, I
at
didn't.
First you said he wasn't.
Again,
IBT.
what I did, you guys keep conflating things. You keep conflating unification with whether or not he was legit as a champion at all. What I said was the unification wasn't legit, not the fact that he didn't become legitimized as a champion.
You did say
no,
that.
I didn't. I literally said,
yes, you did.
You asked me, does Vladimir Klitschko, you literally asked me, does Vladimir Klitschko legitimize AJ? And I literally said yes.
And you said no. You said no at first.
I said, yeah, no, I didn't.
You said no at first.
Get out of it. No, I didn't say no and change my mind.
You said no until we came to the Chris Arreola thing. IBT.
I'm the one who said,
I think
we're at Chris Arreola first, man.
Get the smoke. Let me address that. I think what the issue there was, I don't know because now I don't know because I don't know if I've been told that the argument was something else or you were gaslighting me or we just had a misunderstanding. But you might have been talking about unification and we might have just been talking about champion status at all. You might have been saying beating Klitschko didn't make him a unified champion, but we were saying he made him a real champion. What I want to talk about is how Chris Arreola. You're saying Chris Arreola legitimized him. But if you really want to look at his record going into the Wilder fight, in his past 6 fights, he had 2 wins against nobody. Right? I mean, not literally nobody, but nobody, right? There weren't high-level fighters. There weren't even names like an Eric Molina. It was 2 wins, a draw, 2 losses, and a no contest. Yeah. So I don't understand how beating someone. And last time he fought, let me finish my thing. What's up?
And IBT, don't forget, Chris Arreola was a former world champion who got downsized to fighting an 8-round fight. Professional fight. That's how much of a bum he is.
He goes from challenging for the world title to his wins after in his last 6 fights are 8-round type of fights or 1-round knockout of Eric Molina. I don't even know if that counted in that bracket. But what I'm saying is Chris Arreola hadn't fought someone at the top level and lost to them. Like he hadn't even challenged them at the top level since 2009 when he fought Vitaly Klitschko. So you're bringing up his Klitschko fight to legitimize him from 2009.
He fought for the title. That was his first title challenge. He fought for the title.
That's what you said when you said Klitschko.
Listen. He fought for the title more than one time. For Fidel, he fought for the title. For Bermane Stiverne, he fought for the title. When he fought the Bermane Stiverne, it was the number 2 versus the number 1. That was his second title defense. I don't know why you guys are just trying to encapsulate 1 or 2 fights for the guy's entire career.
Because you mentioned him versus Klitschko.
I didn't though. That's the entire thing. If you can get it into your head, when it comes about to Vitaly Klitschko, it is about unifications, not whether or not he legitimizes a guy as a real champion. Okay, can I stop saying this? Can we just leave that alone and now talk about whether or not Chris Arreola legitimized Deontay Wilder as a real champion and not a paper champ?
Why does he legitimize him?
Okay, as I said, Chris Arreola was both Bermane Stiverne and Chris Arreola were the only guys ranked ahead of Deontay Wilder when Vitaly Klitschko retired. Those 2 guys fought. He fought both of them. He didn't just fight the champ and see what was happening with that. He fought both of those guys. There is nobody who has a better claim for the WBC champion than Deontay Wilder, who had a better claim.
The issue is that we're saying that the WBC championship at that point was just a paper status. Because when I'm talking about when he says vitality, you mentioned that. But if you want to argue what his record since vitality was, his wins were Brian Minto. He lost to Adamek. He beat Quesada. He beat Abel. He beat Aguilera. He beat Relaford. He had a no contest, no decision with Ahunaya. I don't even know who that is. Rafael Butler. And then he knocked out Eric Molina, loses to Bermane Stiverne, beats Seth Mitchell, gets TKO'd by Bermane Stiverne, beats Curtis Harper in an 8-round fight, has a draw with Fred Cassie in a 10-round fight. Has a no contest after he failed a drug test. And, failing a drug test, we like to reward with a Deontay Wilder title shot. How does any of what I said legitimize Wilder as a champion? I'm not saying Wilder isn't a legit champion, but I disagree with saying that he was a legit champion by the time he fought Chris Arreola.
Here's, again, first off, you have a problem with moving the goalpost. What I said was, look at Chris Arreola's run to challenging Vitaly Klitschko if you're saying Vitaly Klitschko, he wasn't a legitimate title contender when he fought Vitaly Klitschko. And I said, put that against Eric Molina. So now what you did was change that to answering a different question.
Really,
can you clarify? Can you go back? Can you clarify?
Clarify to what you mean?
What I'm saying is,
say what you say.
What I'm saying is, Chris Arreola was a 2-time challenger. So if you want to break down what Chris Arreola's career was and why he's legitimate for Deontay Wilder, look at his runs to both title challenges, his runs up to that, and then also factor in the fact that there was nobody else ranked higher than Deontay Wilder to be the WBC champion. And it's not like he fought for the vacant title himself. He beat the guy who fought the very next guy ahead of them.
Yeah, I get you. But okay, once Arreola lost to Stavern and Wilder beat Stavern, Arreola's record after he lost to Stavern doesn't warrant him a title shot against Wilder. His record from losing to Stavern, getting knocked out, doesn't warrant him to a fight. The second time, it doesn't warrant him. It doesn't warrant him a third title shot. That does not warrant him a third title shot.
Okay, but that's
so that doesn't validify Wilder as a champion.
Again, you're moving the goalpost. As I said,
I'm not.
Listen, what you're not doing is addressing what I'm saying. There was nobody else other than Chris Arreola and Bermane Stavern who had a better claim to the WBC title than Deontay Wilder, right? Those two guys fought. It's not like Deontay Wilder fought for the vacant champ.
But that was like a year before, and the rankings can change a lot.
I got it, but I guess what you guys won't do is address that reality. You're going to deflect to something else, but why don't you deflect? Why don't you concentrate on the reality that there is not a single person who had a better claim for the WBC champion than Deontay Wilder? That's A. B. He did not fight for a vacant title.
No, we never said
saying that.
We never said that.
We never said that we did. Great. What we're arguing, Smoke, is the fact that Chris Arreola legitimizes him as a champion.
Correct.
That's what you said. We are arguing Chris Arreola.
Because he beat because Chris Arreola was ranked ahead of Deontay Wilder when they
like a year before.
Yeah, but he didn't fight him then. He fought him after
what about
that.
Failing a drug test puts you in the rankings? Like, if you fail the drug test, you should not be in the rankings. Period.
Oh my God!
He failed and immediately challenged the title.
What I'm saying to you is, there's only two guys, right? So you're trying to tell me that if Chris
Arreola,
listen,
really quick. That was the rankings from a year ago. If you could provide the actual rankings, I would love that. But I can't trust that from a year ago. It stayed the same. You can go now.
Okay, like I said, when Vitaly the champion Klitschko retired, Chris Arreola was ranked ahead of Deontay Wilder, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Bermane Stavern was ranked ahead of Deontay Wilder, correct?
Yes, we're not arguing that.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
We're not arguing that.
Fantastic. Yep. So if you are going to be the legitimate champion for the WBC, you have to either beat Vitaly Klitschko, Bermane Stavern, or both Bermane Stavern and Chris Arreola, right? Since those two guys, since Vitaly Klitschko is the champ.
No, you just need to beat the champion. No, you just need to beat the champion.
No, but what I'm saying is what legitimizes him. So what I'm saying to you is beating Bermane Stavern, you could say beating Bermane Stavern legitimize him as a champion, but I'm going to say that since Bermane Stavern fought for a vacant title, I'm going to say since he beat both of those guys, he is now legitimized.
Yeah, but at the time of beating Arreola, I know what you're saying.
Not only that, Chris Arreola at that point was already a 2-time title challenger. It's not like it's not like it was his first rodeo. Like it wasn't a dominant Brazil like AJ. Like that at that point legitimized Deontay Wilder as a legitimate champion. And
I get you, but what we're saying is at the time of fighting Chris Arreola was not up there in them rankings at that time.
Yeah, because what happened after he fought Bermane Stavern for the first time to
declined.
lose this.
Okay,
he severely declined.
Okay, well, I don't know what you're talking about up there in the rankings. What you're talking about?
In 16 months, he declined.
That is phenomenal. What I'm saying to you is, since Deontay Wilder had two guys ahead of him when Vitaly Klitschko retired.
Yeah, but he wasn't ahead of it.
They were ahead of him, and you guys keep flipping over this point to some other point in time.
Yeah, but when he fought Arreola wasn't in that state still.
Okay, what I said was, it's still does Deontay Wilder still have to beat the guys that are ranked ahead of him? Yes or no?
Yeah, but Arreola wasn't.
Arreola was okay when he wasn't ranked above
Not
him
when he
because
fought him.
that's because Deontay Wilder was a champion. He was outside of the
Yeah,
ranking.
but he wasn't
Okay.
even in the top 10 when he fought him.
Top 10 of what? WBC? Or are you just making this stuff up as you go along?
Arreola had just drawn and had a no contest for failing a drugs test.
Right. So you're just making up as you go along. I got it.
I'm not
No,
making it
no,
up. This is facts.
You guys want to keep playing politics. What I'm telling you
Oh my
is,
God, it's not politics, Smoke.
What I'm saying to you is,
you refuse to listen.
Eric Molina, not Eric Molina, but Chris Arreola was a legitimate title contender at the time that Deontay Wilder fought him. Period.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
No,
he wasn't.
Because the issue is that he come up short once a long time ago, right? Then he worked his way back up with a string of victories, and I respect that. At that point, I'm okay with the shot again, right? If he fights Bermain Stavern, loses, wins another fight, is somehow ranked number 2 again, and then he loses that, how does that keep him at number 2 after winning one 8-round fight, having a draw in a 10-round fight?
Because he was a legitimate challenger. Why did you guys not accept the fact that the guy's a legitimate challenger? What is missing? Like,
no, he wasn't.
Everything
what did he do after he lost to?
You're talking about the third time
Smoke.
Okay,
like 1 second.
Okay, Smoke. Who is a 2-time title challenger? What the hell are you guys missing?
Smoke. After he lost to Stavern, what did he do to get himself back up there to fight again for a title?
Okay, what does that have to do with being a legitimate title challenger?
Because
you're not a challenger.
You can't lose
because he didn't do anything.
Okay, so listen, do you not understand that to be a legitimate title contender, you have to be ranked in the top 15 of a sanctioning body?
Can you show me where he was ranked in the top 15 at the time of the Wilder fight?
Okay, are you trying to assert that he was outside of the top 15 at the time of the Wilder fight?
Maybe in the WBC rankings he wasn't, but I'm asserting that he's not number 2. I'll tell you he was not top 2.
Okay, what does that have to do with being a legitimate title contender?
Because he doesn't have
that doesn't.
Oh my. Okay, look, let me explain it like this.
Okay, Smoke. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me go.
Okay,
Smoke. So if you're gonna say Arreola is a legit title challenger, well, so was Eric Molina, so was Duapas, so was Spilker. So you could have named those 3 fighters before you named Arreola as to legitimize his reign as a champion because they're ranked in the top 15.
So here's the thing: he fought Chris Arreola before he fought those guys, so he didn't need those guys to legitimize them.
No, he didn't. He fought them first.
Well, anyway, so which one of those guys?
No. Anyway, get the smoke. Why
I just said. Were any of those guys 2-time title challengers?
It doesn't matter if you.
No, it doesn't make a difference.
You guys want to keep
No, it doesn't. Because they lost. You lost them both.
So Deverenchenko, because he lost, was no longer. You can't use him to legitimize you as a champion.
Yeah, but Chris Arreola has severely declined from his second title challenge.
So do we know
from his second title challenge? He's declined, Smoke. He didn't do anything to get back up there.
According to who? According to you? Because you want to win an argument?
No, according to his boxing record.
Okay, according to his boxing record. So what you guys need to do is go back and look at the actual fights, and then come back and talk to me about this, because it's starting to get ridiculous.
No, get this, Smoke. Let me explain. When you say that Chris Arreola is like, he challenged twice and he failed, but he's still a contender because he's ranked in the top 15. Any other guy ranked in the top 15 would work. But you're saying, oh, well, no, he challenged and he came up short, but he still challenged, right? Deverenchenko is not regarded as a high-level middleweight because he challenged and came up short. That's like saying Sulecki is a good contender middleweight because he fought Daniel Jacobs and Andre and came up short. That's not why Deverenchenko is considered a good contender. He's considered a contender because he gave both of his title fights, he gave them hell, and he arguably won against Triple G. It's not that he simply got in the ring with them and got knocked out twice. It's that he got in the ring and gave a good fight and made a good account of himself to win.
Oh, really? Now it matters what happened in the fight? But when it came to Charles Martin, all that mattered was the result.
No, I didn't say Charles Martin became a champion. I said he became a champion after he
now you want to break down what happened in the fight.
No,
okay,
I've been saying that him beating Charles Martin could be discounted.
How about this? Vitaly Klitschko dominated the division. and the only and actually was seen by most pundits as being the better of the Klitschko brothers. So he was the best heavyweight at the time. At no
Okay.
Shevchenko beat the best heavyweight, get his loss from the best heavyweight at the time, or the best middleweight, or whatever the hell.
But do you get where I'm coming from when I say Deverenchenko and Chris Arreola should not be compared? And when you're talking about Chris Arreola,
what I don't understand is why you guys think that Chris Arreola is not a legitimate title, is not a legitimizer for a heavyweight champion.
I never thought
he's not when he fought Wilder. Not when he fought Wilder. You've got to put it in context.
Yeah, but you guys didn't even. You guys
have to put it in context.
Okay, wait. One at a time, and someone wants to talk, so I'm gonna let them talk.
I'm just wondering what is Chris Arreola have to do with anything? I don't understand.
Right, they're saying there was a comparison about paper champs, and the question was asked: what fight legitimized Deontay Wilder as a non-paper champ? And one argument is the Bermain-Stavern fight because he actually fought a champion. The other part of it is the Chris Arreola fight since he beat the two guys who were fighting for the vacant.
Okay, well, since we already know that he beat an actual champion, can't we just move
no,
past
because
it
that doesn't work. Because Smoke said because Smoke said it. No, 1 second. It doesn't work because Smoke said AJ is still a paper champion after beating Charles Martin and beating Parker because their legitimacy of the titles.
I didn't say he was a paper champion after beating Copper. I said about the unified man. Like, listen. Keep it straight. I know you have a problem, Eric, with keeping it straight. But the whole thing that we got into this whole thing is because
don't do that. Don't do that.
No, I'm not. No, but the issue.
No, because Smoke, you said beating.
Listen, it came from you saying to me that I said the belts don't mean shit, and I never said that. Oh, the belts don't mean anything.
We all know where it came from, Smoke, but you said.
Hey, I got a question.
Hey, hold on. What's up, guys? Raider from LA. How's it going? What's up? What's up, my boy? How's it going?
Let me ask you a question. Get this
new icon. I dig it.
What's up? Get this smoke. What do you guys arguing over here for?
Hey, get this smoke.
I'm a little bit too hype. I'm gonna turn that.
Get this smoke. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, since belts and all that matters or don't matter, I don't know what's going on. Is Chris Arreola a great champion to you? Was he a great win?
No, I just said he's a legitimizer.
That's why there's a bum.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Hold on. Hey, get this.
Hold on. So you guys were.
My bad. Hey, get the smoke. Right,
yeah, go ahead.
Get the smoke. So, at the time that Arreola, when he fought Wilder, if I remember correctly, Arreola wasn't ranked because he failed the drug test. Remember when he fought what's his name, Kaufman?
Right before he fought Wilder.
Yeah, he fought Kaufman, and they actually changed this to a no contest because of the failed drug test.
And the fight before that was a draw.
Yeah, so the WBC rank, he wasn't ranked in the WBC.
Right. I again, that's fine for context, but again, that doesn't have anything to do with his what he did in the ring and what he achieved in the ring. And that is the point about being legitimized. It's not about him not being. Like I said,
no. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying because you said that he was ranked in the top 15, and I was saying that he was not ranked.
Yes, but the reason why he wasn't ranked was because of a failed drug.
Before you get started,
not because of who he fought, and he was degraded, and all these other reasons that they're saying he was outside of the thing. Like why he was out there was because of a failed drug test.
Yeah. But he was. I mean, the
resume after losing.
The fact is that he was not ranked, whether he failed the drug test or not. He wasn't ranked.
Yeah, but his resume after losing to Stavern is poor. His resume after losing to getting knocked out to Stavern is poor.
This is the thing right here. Hold on, Smoke.
Resumes don't fight each other.
You're gonna bust a blood vessel, man.
I'm a little hype. I'll admit my tones are wrong. I'm a little bit too hyped for the conversation for real, but we'll get through it.
I'm just gonna say this, man. Beating Chris Arreola, I don't see how that win right there could solidify you as a champion when Chris Arreola really is only known for taking losses. I mean, who did he actually beat his whole career?
Thank you.
I don't think
He wasn't even the
He
champion,
arguably won
though,
the first Stavern fight, so let's not downplay
still don't understand
Arreola like he's his bomb,
he
bro.
didn't. No, he didn't.
Arreola's
No,
a
he
solid. He was a
No, he
solid
didn't.
contender.
No,
You guys like to
He got
name
knocked
drop
out in
like
the
who's
world
top
title
10,
fight.
but
no.
Arreola has always been a
He got
top 10
knocked out in
heavyweight,
the
man.
world title fight.
Look,
After
hold on. He got knocked out by Stavern in the second fight. The first fight,
Yep.
you want to say that
Stavern
was
lost to Wilder.
controversial? I had Stavern winning that. I'm sorry. And before he fought Deontay Wilder, he drew with Fred, whatever his fucking name was, and then he fought Travis Kaufman and Curtis Harper. Like, are we serious right now? That dude is the win
That's
that
my
solidifies you as your
That is my
championship run?
So you guys
Hell
are
fucking no.
talking-
Now, if you say,
If you're gonna mention him, you might as well mention.
If you say you're better off saying Vermain Stavern, like stay there. Vermain
Yeah.
Stavern, that's better.
Like I said, he beat
Stay there with that.
Well, like I said, I started with that. Deontay Wilder beat a real champion. He didn't fight for a vacant title.
Whoa.
Yeah, but Stavern did.
Whoa. Stavern was a real champion.
We're not talking about Stavern. We're talking about Wilder.
Wait,
but you said
Wilder
beat a real
Stavern.
champion.
Wait, real quick.
Wilder did beat a real
Stavern-
champion.
Real quick. Get the smoke. Real champions defend their belts. Stavern never got a chance to defend his belt.
Correct.
He was not a real champion. By your standard, Stavern was a paper champ.
That's why we moved on. That's why I moved on to Areola. Like I said,
Yeah, but he
start with
right.
one thing. But if you want to go past that, then we can go to Chris Areola. The fact
The issue is Chris
Arreola was never shit.
lost to Wilder. Wilder got the WBC.
Chris Arreola. If you go to Chris Arreola, it's even worse because Chris Arreola was
Chris
never
Arreola
shit.
is a non-factor.
I got that you guys.
Let Mike from Boston talk. Let Mike.
Go ahead.
The bottom line is this: Deontay Wilder was a WBC champion because he won the belt from the WBC champion. That's it.
Okay, we agree with that.
And
we
hey,
agree with
look,
that.
and hold on, real quick, Eric, Mike. We all agree with that. The problem, this is where the issue is. Smoke is saying that Charles Martin was a paper champion, right? Am I correct, Smoke? Are you saying that?
Yes.
Okay, so that cancels out us keeping the same energy for Wilder. Do you see it now?
Yep.
Okay.
No, but the issue really then becomes.
Wait, get the smoke. Let him reply.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike is the one with the questions right now.
Go ahead.
The thing is, when you're talking about paper champions, it's always going to be subjective, okay? Because we're always going to disagree. You know, when you're talking about a paper champion, technically nobody won the belt from a champion, and so in that case, you could technically say Vladimir Klitschko never won his belt from the champion because Lennox Lewis had retired. I mean, if you want to go down that road,
yeah,
Fact.
Mike. So let me address that. Let me address that, and that's what I said in the beginning of the stream. If you say at this point right now that Klitschko never was a legit champion, or AJ Wilder and Fury were never legit champions, then I would simply agree to disagree because we disagree on something on a fundamental level that cannot be debated. But the issue here is that we agree on something. But the debate falls apart where you say Chris Arreola or Vermain Stavern legitimize him.
No, it's not. Hey, get this smoke. Hey, get the smoke. Hey, get the smoke. Is Arreola, was he a cherry pick for Wilder at that time they fought?
No.
Yes.
According to your standards.
No. But anyway,
because Arreola was.
But let me just jump in. The issue with Charles Martin, the Charles Martin thing is the way that Charles Martin got his belt. That is really the only issue with the.
Yeah, but that's not AJ's fault.
God damn, dude! Like, just hold on. I'm not blaming AJ. I'm not blaming AJ. I'm just talking about the difference between Vermain Stavern, the way he became champion, and Charles Martin, the way he became champion, and how that reflects on those relative belt, or like how that reflects on AJ's victory, and how that reflects on Wilder's victory. That's all I'm saying. If Charles Martin actually beat that dude, then we'd have a different conversation. But since the guy got injured in the fight, there's still questions about the legitimacy of Charles Martin. There's not really questions about the legitimacies of Vermain Stavern's.
Okay, can I ask a question? Can I ask you a question?
There is.
Can I ask a question, Smoke? The guy who got injured, what has he done in the heavyweight division since? 1 second, Mike.
Nothing.
1 second.
Nothing.
Smoke. What has this guy?
Nothing.
He's done nothing, yeah? So, and what has Charles Martin done?
Not that much more. More than
he's done more, though.
Yeah, a little bit more.
He's done more.
But he also got beat.
Exactly.
He got beat by Konaki. He got beat by Kovnowski. I mean, he beat Gerald Washington.
Okay.
And by the way, I'd like to take Konaki also beat Chris Arreola. So
yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
Let me ask you something, man.
That's more than the
real quick. Real quick, man. Real quick, because this is kind of getting crazy. So now we're talking shit about Charles Martin, what he's done after. I need you to tell me what Bermain Stavern has done besides get his ass beat by prospects. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, again, like I said, you guys have moved the goalpost to what happened after. What I said was the way that Bermain Stavern got his belt versus the way Charles Martin got his belt. That is the difference between the controversy about whether or not AJ is a paper champion after beating Charles Martin versus why is Wilder a paper champion after beating Bermain Stavern. If you guys can confine,
okay, can I explain myself
to that particular thing? Then we have a conversation going. Now, if you want to
can I just explain myself?
What happened after we can?
No, just let me explain myself.
The only reason why agree to any of that.
The only reason why I brought up Charles Martin after is because what I'm saying is the guy who Charles Martin beat, and Smokey's saying, oh, he didn't beat this guy. Charles Martin has still gone on to do more. So therefore, AJ fought the better fighter out of the two anyway.
I mean, that is something after the fact. But the point is, what happened in the fight?
Yeah, it's after the
fact. If we can stick to the same kind of metrics that we use for everybody else, the same thing we're talking about Derenchenko, why he's still a legitimate guy versus somebody else, because what he actually produced in the ring. If we can confine it to that, what Charles Martin produced in the ring for his title run, and also capturing his belt, did not legitimize that title. That is the issue.
Okay, cool. All right, but then what did Chris Arreola do? Where was his run? Where was his run? Can you tell me when his run was, please, Smoke?
Okay, so do you want to put Chris Arreola's resume up against Charles Martin's? We can do that.
No, that's not what I said, Smoke. That's not what I said, Smoke.
Okay, I know.
I'm asking you when was Chris Arreola's run? Like, can you break that down? When was it?
Right. So again, like if you want to do a comparison of Chris Martin to Chris Arreola.
No, we don't. We do not.
We're not doing a comparison.
We're not doing the comparison.
What you'll find is Chris Arreola is a
get the smoke. Really, I muted you really quickly, but we do not want to compare right now. That's the issue. Is we keep comparing when we haven't defined anything yet. So first, let's define Wilder. So to do that, we have to define Chris Arreola, because you're making the claim that Chris Arreola is the man who legitimized his title. So from there, let's continue with that in mind. So let me write this down so we don't move, right?
Yes, exactly. Since we went from a Bermain Stavern Charles Martin comparison to now a Chris Arreola Charles Martin comparison.
Nope.
But really,
no comparison.
No, we're not comparing.
No comparison.
Like literally, everybody just asked me what was Chris Arreola's run. Changing the conversation.
But I didn't compare. I didn't compare.
But you just.
I'm solely asking when was Chris Arreola's run. That's all I'm asking.
The issue is you've moved the goalpost from a comparison between Bermain Stavern and Charles Martin to a
bro. When I jumped on,
throwing away that argument. We're throwing that away.
No, because
listen, then what are we talking about? We're going to keep going down rabbit hole.
Smoke. All I'm saying is when I jumped on, you were talking about Chris Arreola was the win that solidified Deontay Wilder as a champion. So that's what I was talking about, and I said you're better off saying at least Bermain Stavern. I think that would be the win that solidified him as a champion, because he beat the champ, the title holder. So when you're saying Chris Arreola was the win, that's why I'm asking you now, when was his run that would make him that solid win?
Okay. And I believe I've already said this a bunch of times, that I said Bermain Stavern by himself, because the way that Bermain Stavern got his title, it shouldn't be seen as the same comparison as the way AJ got his fight from Charles Martin. That's the issue about the Bermain-Stavern versus Charles Martin thing. That's where we're at. But if you want to go past, if you want to go past Bermain-Stavern, that is what this whole thing is. Going past the Bermain-Stavern, even though we shouldn't be going past Bermain-Stavern, let's go past him to Chris Arreola. And now, if you want to talk about Chris Arreola versus, you can still compare Chris Arreola as a legitimized champion versus Charles Martin as a legitimized champion. And what you'll see is that Chris Arreola still has a better resume than Charles Martin did as a title holder.
Yeah, but Chris Arreola never had a title, so you can't compare the two.
Exactly. And people compare.
We're not comparing the two.
Listen,
we're not comparing the two.
People compare.
We are not comparing them.
Okay, people compare Dillian White to Wilder's record all the time, all the damn time. So I don't know.
I do it.
I don't know all of a sudden why Dillian White, who's never had a championship fight in his life, is now you can't. You can compare
because
him
Chris Arreola has never won a world title, and Charles Martin has.
Neither has Dillian White.
Charles Martin has. Where you been on Dillian White? You're changing the goalposts. You're bringing Dillian White into this. This has got nothing to do with it.
What I'm saying to you,
I haven't.
Just because, yes, you can compare Chris Arreola, who never even held a title, to Charles Martin, who did hold the title, because you can do it, because you can look at their resumes and see who has actually achieved. Like, you can say that the win that Charles Martin was historically more significant because there was a title on the line, but you can't say
I get the smoke.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Hey, get the smoke. So where would you have Arreola right before the fight with Wilder was announced on the WBC rankings? Where would you have him?
I mean, I'd have to look at it. It's not like I have the rankings in my head.
Yeah. So if you could find
I have them here. So this is from May 2016. The fight was announced in June 2016, right? So this is right before month before it was announced. The fight was announced.
How about the PGD? How about the years before? But where was he ranked before he was?
The years before are in non-involved.
Yes, but I mean, I'm going down. I'm going to go down the list because Chris Arreola, we know he wasn't ranked, right? Because he failed that drug test for marijuana.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm giving you guys the top 10 list from May WBC rankings, right? The month before the fight was announced. So at 10 we have Malik Scott, 9 Brian Jennings, 8 David Haye, 7 Andy Ruiz, 6 Joseph Parker, 5 Carlos Takam, 4 Joan Duapas, 3 Kurbab Pulev, 2 Bermain-Stavern, and 1 Alexander Povetkin.
He'd already fought Duapas by then.
Yeah, so where would you have
Duapas
there?
And he'd already fought Malik Scott.
I would have Arreola in front of Duapas. I would have
Arreola not on the list.
I would have him in front of Malik Scott. I'd have him in front of Duapas. There's a couple of other guys that I mentioned, but really it should be top 15.
Duapas was the WBC silver champion, and he was ranked 4. So you would have Chris Arreola number 4.
I would have Chris Arreola instead of Duapas.
But Chris Arreola never did anything after losing a title.
No, but what I'm trying to get to is you're saying he's not a cherry pick. Chris Arreola is not a cherry pick, but you would have him at number 4. How would he not be a cherry pick?
I think this is where I think the conversation just gets weird, right?
Because saying that if you let you fight the top guy, then you're picking cherry. First off,
let's not go down the cherry pick right now. Let's
just smoke. First
off,
let's not do cherry pick. Let's not do cherry pick. We're changing the topic, and I don't want to do that. We still haven't addressed the one thing, because I want to go over Wilder, and then I want to go over AJ, right? That's the format I'm trying to do. So first, you said that Chris Arreola is the contender that made him legitimized, and I don't agree, but I'm not saying... Wait. Please let me finish. I'm not trying to say Wilder's not a legit champion. I think Wilder's a legit champion. I think he's probably going to go in the Hall of Fame. I think he's accomplished things that are historically significant for the heavyweight division. However, I want to say that I do not think Chris Arreola is, and you agree. You think he is. So please explain to me what Chris Arreola has actually done after failing his title opportunity against Bermain-Stavern to warrant him becoming the legitimizer.
Okay, I don't know why you guys keep trying to truncate Chris Arreola's achievements in the ring. When you talk about legitimizing a guy, you're talking about his entire body of work. When you talk about AJ being like Klitschko being legitimizing for AJ, you don't say what did he did in the last 2 years, or what did he do since Fury, or what did he do since Cuba playoffs. What you do is you look at the entire guy's body of work and you go, yes, that's the body of work. But for some reason, you have problems looking at Chris Arreola's entire body of work. Was he in his prime? No, he wasn't in his prime.
But Smoke,
legitimate contender?
All right, Smoke.
Wait, no, hold on, Eric. Smoke. We are looking at his whole body of work, and that's why we're saying that shouldn't be the fight that legitimizes it, because Chris Arreola is known as an undisciplined, fat dude who just takes L's. Again, like, if we're being honest, there was never a run. Chris Arreola had never had a run where we were like, yo, he's the guy. That never happened. So that's why I'm asking you, why is he the guy? Is it because he's known for getting beat up, and what is it? You please break that down.
You could have named 10 other guys. You named him.
Again, like I said, my first choice for legitimizing is Bermain Stavern. The second choice is Chris Arreola, right?
So if we can say Bermain Stavern is good, I'm fine with that, as long as you admit that AJ was also not a paper champion at the time that he fought a Joseph Parker.
No, I have no problem. I said Vladimir Klitschko legitimizes as a champion.
All right, so we're good. There's no debate. I agree completely.
There you go.
I agree with that.
Hey, Smoke, I'm on board. When you say Stavern, I'm on board with that.
I'm on board.
Now, when you start saying Arreola, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, what's going on?
Right. I got it. But again, if you look at Chris Arreola's resume and you put it next to Charles Martin's resume, I think the head scratching should end.
Yeah, but that's not the same because that's not the same because Chris Arreola wasn't a champion when Wilder fought him. Charles Martin was. That doesn't even
matter. That doesn't even matter. Why do we have to compare Chris Arreola to Charles Martin to legitimize Wilder's win? That to me doesn't make sense. So you're comparing him to Charles Martin to legitimize a Wilder win. If you're saying Charles Martin was not a good champion, I'm on board with that. But to say Chris Arreola is the win, that legit, like, nah, fam.
Right.
Stick with Stavern. I'm with that.
I feel like these a few nuances and a few wrinkles. We're getting bogged down in the details, and I'm cool to move on too. But I feel like you guys are missing the fact that Charles Martin, the reason why he was even in a vacant title fight, had nothing to do with an aging champion or anything like that. It had to do with a champion approaching his prime, having outside of the ring issues.
We all
know that.
Yeah, and he had outside the ring issues too. So,
he got stripped because he couldn't fight his mandatory.
Yeah, and also on drugs and alcohol and
it was outside of the ring. It wasn't because he lost the fight. It wasn't because he could no longer continue or nothing like that.
Yeah, but you say this champion in his prime, he was supposed to defend his belts again against the same guy he won it from, and he never did that. So we don't know how good of a champion he was back then.
We all agreed though, right? So we agreed. Cool. Let's move on from the Arreola.
When he was saying that AJ was a paper champ, right after I said so is Wilder paper champ, and he said no, and that's where this whole thing started because I felt he wasn't keeping the same standards for them.
Right, because Charles Martin is a totally different standard than Bermain Stavern.
I asked, is AJ a paper champion? I said, like, is AJ a paper champ? I didn't say at the time. I didn't say any of that. And you said yes. So
right. The thing is, you jumped in the conversation I was having with Eric. So I was having two conversations and not really about the same topic. So it just got
So I asked you a question and you answered it the way you did. That's where the discussion for me began.
I don't think AJ is a paper champion. Not at all.
Cool. There you go. We're done.
Right.
We don't have an issue anymore.
I think his unifications are fugazi, but not that he is a paper champion himself.
So is he a paper unified champion?
And that's what's weird about AJ is he's a real champion with suspect unifications. That's my issue with unifications. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Smoke, I got a question for you, man. Now, if the negotiations for Wilder and Parker actually went through when Wilder offered him that fight, would you be saying the same shit about Wilder right now? Because I don't think you would.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it would.
The hell
all
no.
right.
Man, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Listen, I'm saying the same thing about Andre and Charlo right now. If they would
okay.
what that would look like is two guys who are actually not proven a champion having a unification. That is my actual argument about that unification specifically.
So if Luis Ortiz had fought Klitschko for the belt and won it, and then had the unification with whoever, would it be legitimized as a unification?
Yeah, I feel like
because but he'd have won a vacant belt.
Yeah,
but he'd have won a vacant belt.
But I feel like if
but it would have been a vacant belt.
Great. So
but Eric, he said that Klitschko validated AJ, so then it would definitely validate.
Not as a unification. Not as a unification.
Oh, okay.
The thing that would have validated the AJ unification at that point would have been fighting Luis Ortiz, because then you would have beaten both guys with the champion, with the claim to the title, not named Fury, because Fury was having his outside the ring issues. But instead of showing up that whole thing with the WBA, he went on to fight another guy who hadn't been legitimizing the champion in Joseph Parker.
So he fighting Luis Ortiz would have made it better than fighting Parker.
So fighting Luis
Ortiz would have been better than fighting Parker.
Man, can we switch the topic?
Hell no.
I didn't say that it would have been better than fighting Parker. What I didn't even say that it would have been.
You said it would have made it a more of a legitimate unification.
It then would have been at least.
Well, it wouldn't have, because Luis Ortiz would have.
Say again. Hello. What did you say?
Luis Ortiz. Why fighting Luis Ortiz? Instead of fighting Joseph Parker would have made it more legitimate of a unification. I don't understand when Parker already defended his belt twice.
Okay, because
regardless of who it was against,
fighting Joseph Parker does not give you the legitimacy in the WBA. Like we're talking about, the unification was between the IBF and the WBA. The issue is,
but he already had the WBA,
but he didn't have the WBA because Fury beat his ass. So anyway, the WBA.
No, I'm talking about Joshua.
No, I'm
talking about
that unification. I'm talking about that unification. The reason why that unification is not legit. What would have made it legit is if he beat actually Luis Ortiz. Now, if you want to talk about the WBO, he is fine.
Smoke. No. I got to correct you on this one. Smoke. So the title was vacant. You do know that, right? So obviously the WBA threw that belt on. Hold on, real quick. So the WBA threw that on to the fight. Yeah, we know that. So how could it be AJ's fault that he didn't fight the mandatory of the WBA? Wait, real quick. The WBA's mandatory and Luis Ortiz, who agreed to step aside and allow Klitschko and AJ to fight for that belt, I may add. So how is it AJ's fault that he didn't fight Luis Ortiz, who was a mandatory to a belt he wasn't even holding?
Okay. So mandatory to a belt he was holding, nobody was holding it. So that's why it wasn't legitimate. But the issue is not whether or not I blame AJ. The issue is not placing blame on a fighter. It's about whether the legitimacy of the title.
Okay, so you're saying that it wasn't.
When you say it's illegitimate, you discredit someone. Therefore, it maybe blame is
it's
the right
just
word,
weird
you're
because
discrediting him for the actions of someone else.
Right, it's weird because I've heard you say.
But also he defended that WBA, which made it a legitimate title after he defended it. Once he defended it, it's his title.
Right. But earlier today, you said Tank was a 2-time champion for a fucking regular WBA belt.
No, he's
but then Canelo isn't a 4-division champion, even though he also got a WBA regular.
I don't know, man.
He's a 2-time champion at 130. He's a 2-time champion at 130. That is why he's a 2-time champion. It has nothing to do with what he did at 135.
Or no, you said whatever. You said 3-time whatever. You said 3-time.
The question was, what is Tank developing into? And I said a 2-division champion. And then they went.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah, exactly. 2-division, whatever.
I didn't say that he was a 2-division champion right now. I said he's developing into that. He moved up in weight and is now trying to get a title at 135.
Can I ask the panel a question? As a champion, if you defend your belt, does that legitimize your title reign?
Depends on who you defend against. Devin Haney defended his paper champion against nobody. So no, it does not legitimize his champion. His champion.
Actually, that guy was ranked in the top 15 in the WBC.
Yep.
Awesome. And is he a two-time title defender? Is he a two-time title defender? I know you guys like to parse arguments, but you know what? I make whole thoughts.
But you know what?
Well, what are you getting offended? I'm just saying that's what you said earlier. He defended against someone in the top 10.
Yeah, and I also said,
I think
who would challenge for the title twice. So why don't you say the whole thing?
Yeah, but the guys run up to.
So if you want to label somebody paper champions, right? It should be like Devin Haney and Charlo.
Yep.
Those are paper champions. You know what I'm saying? Guys who fight for vacant belts, or the guy they're fighting gets injured in the fight, that's not on them, bro. Like the dude got injured.
If you get given a title,
that's not
you're a paper champion.
Listen, okay, you guys wanted. I don't know why this is absolute.
Is it Chris Eubanks' fault that Korobov pulled his shoulder out?
I don't know why it's not about assigning blame to a fighter. We're talking about the legitimacy of the actual fight.
But like I said,
but unless the fight is not ruled a win, then it's a win.
So everybody,
because look, but smoke, real quick. You are assigning blame though. When you're not realizing that okay, well let me tell you why. You're not realizing you are, because you're saying that Charles Martin was not a legitimate champion, and then you give the reason why is because his opponent got injured in their bout. That is now putting the blame on Charles Martin to why he is not a legitimate champion.
No, I'm talking about the legitimacy of the fight. I didn't say Charles Martin cheated, and so it's Charles Martin's fault.
I have a question.
But then that makes him a champion.
No,
odds he won the fight.
No one says that he's not a champion. It's a paper champion. What kind of champion is he?
Right. You're not giving him his full credit, is my point, and you're blaming him. And
he got in the ring and he fought
because his opponent.
No, but that doesn't make him a paper champion.
Got hurt. That's not his fault.
Here's really the thing.
That's not his fault.
It's two things. But that's fine. But that's fine. We already said that a real champion defends his title. Did Charles Martin defend his title? No, he did not.
No, neither did Stavern.
Did he beat the guy? Did he beat the guy that he was even facing for the championship? No, the guy got injured.
Yep.
So
he still beat him. He got the W.
All right,
he beat
him, bro. Like you can't get mad at him. It's not his fault. Like the dude he was fighting pulled whatever. So like,
I got you want to play ostrich. I know you got to play ostrich in order to move the goalpost. The point is,
it's not ostrich. He won the fight. The fight wasn't built as a no contest.
Triple G won the fight, correct? Triple G won the fight. If you want to just go with
can I say something that will possibly? Let me speak for a second.
Go ahead.
Let me speak for a second. I think you're talking about Triple G, but I was just going to talk about Charles Martin really quickly. Would it be fair to say that if you don't want to say AJ beat the champion, could you just make it so that Charles Martin in our head or whatever, or you know how it really works out, because he didn't beat the guy to get the belt? Can we say that was a vacant title? Do you mind saying that? Would you say that title was vacant and then the winner of that fight has the title? I don't mind saying Joshua.
I don't need to rearrange history. I'm just trying to acknowledge what happened. I don't need to.
No, but I'm saying sorry. Would you compare it to that?
I'm just no.
I don't compare it.
No,
you wouldn't compare what happened with Martin and Joshua, a vacant title situation, because those were the top two ranked people in the IBF.
No, I would because they weren't the top two ranked. Like Josh was ranked number 4 or something, or number 5. Like they weren't the top 2 ranked guys. He paid his way to that fight. But that's beside the point. That's not even what I'm trying to say about it. What I'm saying to you is that it was just a paper champion because of what happened in the fight, because of the circumstances of the fight, and also what happened in the fight. That's it.
Yeah, but the circumstances in the fight is not Charles Martin's fault. That's where you're like.
I'm not assigning blame. I'm talking about
okay. Subconsciously, maybe you're not, but what you're saying, but you are.
But I'm not.
Because you're calling him. Okay, you're calling him. This is how you are. You're calling him a paper champion
because he
is. But it's not his fault. He didn't get the right. He didn't get. Listen.
I didn't say it's
he didn't get the opportunity to beat the guy because the guy pulled his muscle. That is his fault, not Charles Martin. So you can't apply blame to him for being a paper champion. He wasn't gifted a belt like Devin Haney or Charlo. None of that. He went in there to try to beat the guy to fully get the belt. It's not his fault. The other guy's fault. That's what happened.
Phenomenal. If you wanted to talk about how Charles Martin, if I want to talk about how Charles Martin is to blame for his paper champ status, is because he didn't beat AJ. That's why Charles Martin is to blame. Charles Martin is not to blame.
Because he didn't have a title defense?
Charles
That's
Martin,
where you want to go?
like we said, there's more than one way to legitimize yourself as a champion, correct?
Oh, man. Now you're moving the goalposts a little bit here, Smoke.
No, we already said.
All right.
It's who you fight, what happened in the fight, and whether or not you were able to defend, correct? And then also, it's not just that you defend; it's who you defend against. Like we just said, when we're still calling Charlo a paper champ, even though he's defended his championship against the Matthew Korobov, who is a former title challenger. We're still calling that guy a paper champion. Selecki, he did something. I think he challenged at 154.
He was a 4, yeah. No, and 160 against.
So there you go,
Danny Jacobs.
So there you go,
and Demetrius Andrade.
Danny Jacobs.
So wait, hold on.
Wait. Was Danny Jacobs? Was Danny Jacobs a champ? I don't think.
Yeah,
let me check. Actually, I don't know if he was a champ.
I think he was.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was.
Him and Devin.
Hold on, let me check that because smoke, man.
No, Triple G was an IBF champ. That was a.
Okay. All right, I was gonna say, bro, because that's.
No. It was Triple G that was the IBF champ.
That's bad.
You just opened a whole other can of worms right now because I don't think Daniel Jacobs was the champ when he fought. No, never mind. No, yeah, he fought Deverenchenko for a vacant championship.
Yes, I'm aware that.
So he won a vacant. So he fought for a vacant belt versus Deverenchenko. What year was that?
In 2018.
Yeah. Okay. You got the IBF after anyway, whatever. After Canelo after Canelo either stripped or vacated.
But hold on. But you're saying Chris Arreola legitimized Wilder because he had fought for vacant. Wait, real quick. You said he fought against champions or a challenge for the belt, and then you just went on to say Korobov did that. So why is it that that doesn't legitimize Charlo at 160 for you? Just curious.
Right. So for me, Matthew Korobov is a fine it's fine. It's a fine victory, but what Matthew Korobov did to me was a while ago. That fight against Andy Lee, like Andy Lee is a retired dude at this point. Like that was Korobov's claim to fame. It was his fight against Andy Lee, right? It was, and that was his only thing. He's fine. It's just, man. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, but Smoke.
It's all right.
You're saying that Arreola fought Vitali
in 2009.
Yes, but Vitali's a Hall of Famer. Vitali's the best in the business. Andy Lee was not the best in the business.
So now okay. So
Andy Lee was a world champion. It doesn't matter.
Again,
Andy Lee was a world champion.
I don't know why you guys can't get this through your head. Like that was his first.
Now you want to add the Hall of Famer tag on it. All right.
Like great. Like if you want to make these comparisons, then what you have to do is compare the guys. And like I said to you, Chris Arreola is a 2-time title challenger. So if you want to look at his career, look at all of it, not just Matthew Korobov challenged Andy Lee. So now how are you talking about Chris Arreola? Come on, guys.
I'm just saying.
I didn't say anything about Korobov. I didn't mention anything for the record. And the only thing I disliked about saying Chris Arreola was reputable due to his title challenges is he wasn't competitive in his title challenges. So that's where I had issue. I would have been fine accepting Bermain Stavern, but I was under the assumption that we had done something to discount AJ, and then that's when I brought it to Wilder. And then he said, no, that counts. And that's when I saw not flip-flopping, but it was different standards. And then we came to an agreement.
I would have even been fine if you said Eric Molina, which was his first defense.
Eric Molina,
I would have been fine with that.
I mean, that's fine that you guys are fine with it. I think that you guys are just overlooking the fact that there was 3 guys when Vitaly Klitschko retired that had a claim to the title.
I understand that bit. By the time he fought Arreola,
listen, I know that you keep going over this whole thing, but even Pulev, the AJ's fight against Pulev and Povetkin, like actually one of AJ's better wins is against Povetkin, right? Nobody is saying that Povetkin was anywhere close to his prime. However, Povetkin was a higher ranked fighter than AJ, making the Povetkin win a legitimate victory, because what Povetkin was still he still had the accolades that he had, even though he was an old man and not on PEDs.
Yeah, but Arreola wasn't though. Comparing Arreola to Povetkin is just redundant. Arreola wasn't even nowhere near ranked there. He wasn't even ranked.
Right, but the reason
I can't get on board with this whole logic of the paper. Your version of the paper champ to me is just like it's kind of, I don't know. I just can't be on board with it, because for me, a paper champion is like, Charles Martin and Charlo, if you want to say that. When you're gifted a belt. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a paper champion. When you start defending your belt, or if you beat the champion that's holding the belt, even if that champion won a vacant belt and defended that vacant belt multiple times, then I'm not going to call you a paper champion. I'm just not going to do that.
Right.
Earn the right to call yourself
Andre, you're saying,
but we're not disagreeing. I said Charles Martin is a paper champion, and they jumped down my throat for it. I said
you said AJ was a paper champion. You didn't say Charles Martin. You said AJ.
After the Charles Martin fight, AJ was a paper champion. He beat a paper champion. So he was in fact a paper champion.
No, but he beat a champion.
Okay. Again, he beat a paper champion.
I don't think we're getting anywhere with this, guys.
No, I mean, I'm not defending Charles Martin as being what made him a champion, and that's why I'm fine with you calling him at that point a paper champion, and that's why I don't care. But what I was confused about is when we said, okay, what made Wilder legitimate? And you had said, oh, Charles Martin and Klitschko didn't count, but then you said Chris Arreola, and that's where I got all very confused.
No,
but
I
we
didn't
solved that. No. I said we solved that now. It was a misunderstanding combined with we had not accept. I mean, we would have accepted Bermain Stavern, but you thought we rejected it, or we rejected it for something else. But I'm fine with Bermain Stavern.
I only rejected Bermain Stavern because he won a vacant title, and so did Charles Martin. That's the only reason why I rejected Stavern. I would have been 1 second. I would have been happy with Eric Molina, which was his first defense. It doesn't bother me if a champion defends the belt. I'm happy with it.
Right.
You just randomly went with Chris Arreola. If you said Molina because he defended it, I'd have been like, yeah, that's cool.
And then can I point out you said Chris Arreola? Can I point out that you mentioned Chris Arreola, and we said, why did you say Chris Arreola? Eric Molina, who are the other guys? Duwapa
and who was it? Oh, I can't think now.
Let me check right now. God.
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head. There was three guys anyway.
And I remember what it was. Spilka. We said, why didn't you say Spilka or Duwapas? And you said he didn't fight them yet, but he had. You said okay. And
we cleared that up. Yeah, I got that.
Just that he had fought them first.
Yeah, we cleared that up, but then the issue then it turned into he wasn't.
But why did you double down on your mistake?
Double down on what mistake?
Yeah, you could have just said okay then, because you thought Arreola was his first defense, right?
No, I thought that.
Oh no! Again, we can go back, but you made it was a
the reason why I didn't go with those guys in their first defense. That's fine that you guys go with that, and I'm not going to argue with why you think it was a legitimate thing. For me, what made it legitimate was Chris Arreola was actually a legitimate guy who had fought for the title a couple of times, and he was ranked ahead of Wilder when Vitali retired. So for Wilder, what he had to do was to beat the guys who was ranked ahead of him, and it was fine for me enough that he just beat Stavern. But since you brought up Chris Martin, we got into the differences between what happened with Chris Martin's victory and what happened with Bermain Stavern. Oh yeah, sorry, Charles Martin. With Charles Martin's victory and what happened with Bermain Stavern's victory. So we just got into
thing with
hair splitting.
Okay, that's fine. But my thing with the Chris Arreola thing is you can't go back to when Vitali retired, because at the end of the day, Chris Arreola wasn't that same fighter anymore.
I know.
He was nowhere near that fighter anymore. I can understand what you're saying, but you can't use that logic because he wasn't the same fighter anymore. If he had lost to Stavern and then gone on to maybe win three legitimate fighters, and then say, he's still that guy. Okay. He wasn't that guy no more.
How far removed was Povetkin from beating Chris Bird? Like it's not about how degraded they were from their primes. That's not the issue.
No, I'm not saying from his prime.
The issue
No,
is
Smoke,
whether or
real
not
quick,
they're-
Smoke.
No, I'm not saying from his prime, though,
We're
Smoke.
not going on that.
The issue is
Can I ask
whether or
Smoke
not they're
something real quick?
legitimate. The issue is whether or not he was a legitimate title contender at the time. And the reason why he's outside of the ranks was due to a marijuana bust. It wasn't like PEDs or something. He
No,
was
the reason
smoking
why
but
he's
he was
outside the ranks is
But you guys-
because he was fighting 8-rounders.
He fought
Okay.
an 8-rounder. He had a draw for a 10-rounder against nobody, and then he had a no contest in which he won, but it was weed. So I don't really care. If you want to say that he won and it was weed and I don't care, then sure. He was 2-1. He was 2-0-1. He hadn't beat anyone notable. He hadn't beaten another contender. He hadn't beaten someone else good in the rankings. He had just beaten other people who were licensed to be a fighter.
Okay, so my question to you is, how far should a guy tumble in the rankings when he loses a title challenge?
Yeah, but he didn't only lose the title challenge.
He got knocked out.
He'd also lost after that.
Okay, he did not
got
get
knocked
out,
out.
but he did get knocked out by Mace Tavern.
He did.
Did he?
Yeah,
He got
Yeah,
TKO'd.
he
He got
did.
TKO'd.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
got TKO'd.
yeah. Okay, I remember.
Which,
got
if you want to
TKO'd.
ask how he
So-
got into that position, I don't even know how he was ranked number 2 because he lost to Stavern, beat somebody, and then fought Stavern again.
Yo, I got a quick question for Smoke. I just want to know what's his thoughts on this. Do you think Lomachenko's a paper champion right now, or what?
No, I don't think his paper. I don't think Loma's a paper champion. I think his WBC unification was.
Okay. All right.
What do you mean?
I mean that he fought for a vacant against Luke Campbell, who wasn't the champion. He was
He
never.
fought for a vacant
Yeah, but he was ranked
unified.
number
Yeah,
one.
that was kind of weird.
He was ranked number 1, though.
Yeah. Was he ranked number 1? How was he ranked number 1? I thought it was
Yeah,
Devin.
Luke Campbell was ranked number 1.
I thought Devin Haney was ranked number 1.
No, I think Luke Campbell was ranked number 1. I can double check on that, but I'm sure Luke Campbell was ranked number 1.
No, Devin Haney was ranked number 1 when he got and he wasn't ranked because he had the interim at that point.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. He was interim, and then Luke Campbell was number 1. Actually,
Right,
it was Devin Haney. It was supposed to be Devin Haney versus Luke Campbell for that
That's
belt.
what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is a vacant.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
And it's the same. It's the same metrics to me. Loma's great, and just like I think, even though he was past his prime and not champion, all that stuff, Klitschko was still a great name. I feel like he totally legitimized AJ as a champion. It's just that particular unification is a paper it was a paper champion fight. That's all.
Okay, the main thing is I didn't get why you said Chris Arreola, and then we said, wait, what about Eric Molina, Duapis, and Spilka? And you said they didn't have he fought them later. And we said, no, he didn't fight them. And then you said, anyways, and that was just, you could have just
No, I mean, I know that's what you guys feel like because he defended the belt, then he's no longer paper champion, even if he defends against anyone. What I was saying was he actually defended against a guy who was really a world level opponent, title challenger, proven title challenger. And so he came up short in his fights, but he's a proven title challenger. He's got good wins.
Yeah, but he came up short massively, though. That's the thing, though, Smoke. He came up short massively both times.
I hear you. Listen, he came up short both times. Charles Martin, to me, didn't fight anybody. I feel like Jamil McCline is a better win than anybody Charles Martin ever fought.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Charles Martin. I'm just saying Arreola. Arreola, he's 2 title challenges.
Right.
He got stopped in them.
Right. But issue, I'm saying to you, like, we keep going around and around and around. How this whole thing got started was Bermain Stavern being called a paper champion, just like Charles Martin was called the paper champion. And if Bermain Stavern, if Bermain Stavern doesn't legitimize you, then who is the next guy to legitimize you?
No, because on your stance, if you win a vacant title, then you're still a paper champion because it's a vacant title.
Let me ask you a question.
That was your stance. That was your stance.
It's not my stance, but that's fine. Here's the deal. Do you think Devin Haney is a paper champion? Right now, do you think Devin Haney is a champion?
Yes, he is.
But hasn't he defended the title?
No, because he never
The
actually
issue
won
with
the
Haney
title.
is that he was elevated to his title. He wasn't.
He was
He didn't,
elevated.
it's not like he won a vacant and then defended. He had an interim and then suddenly became a full. That's why he's paper champion.
All right, so
He never.
so this whole defense only works for vacant.
Okay. In my eyes, Devin Haney's just won a vacant title. In my eyes, that's how I see it.
And you
So
feel like
yes, he's a paper
and you
champion.
feel like the guy that he fought deserved to be in a vacant title fight.
Sure,
No.
the vacant title fights I don't think really matter as much as the defense after, and that's why, because once you're a champion, you're more accountable, and that's why you're still a paper champion until you defend. And in our mind, he was an interim. Yeah, he won the full title, and then now he has to defend it against someone significant like a Fortuna or a Campbell.
I think the fight where he defended that title, what he got given, was more or less signed before he was elevated.
No, that
so
was
then it
nobody's ever heard of on the undercard of a youth.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Yeah, this is what I mean, Smoke. The fighter he was fighting, that fight was already signed before he got elevated to full world champion.
No,
he was still interim title champion. Yeah, and the petition to make that fight against that particular fighter for his first defense.
That's fine for context. The issue is, does that make him now a paper champion or not? And you're saying
right now,
no, he's still a paper champion because I
get you. What
because
you're saying,
I see
it's not a vacant. Since they didn't fight for a vacant and he didn't defend, right now he fought for a vacant, even though
that was his first.
Even though the guy he
that
fought
was his first world title fight. That was his first world title fight.
I got it. Vacant.
That was his first world title fight.
Listen, vacant champions or vacant belts are usually fought between the number 1 and the number 2 guy, or the champion and the number 1 guy. Like that is not generally fought against a champion, a guy who's been elevated and somebody you never heard of who was unranked.
Yeah, but like I said, the fight was already signed.
I got it.
He was already signed to fight that guy.
That doesn't make him a legitimate challenger for the vacant title.
No, I'm not saying it does.
Saying he's not
what I'm saying is the fight was already signed.
Right now.
Correct. I don't understand how you making that guy a title challenger for a vacant title just because the fight was already signed.
I'm not making.
So you're saying he's not even a champion of any kind. You're saying he's nothing.
I'm saying I don't get the logic of that guy was legitimate. That's the vacant title fight.
I never said he was.
Title fight. That's what you said. You see him as a vacant title fight. That defense as a vacant title
what I'm saying is that was his first world title fight. That was his first world title fight. It may as well have been for a vacant title because he never actually held the belt.
Right.
He just got elevated before the fight.
Why is that guy a legitimate contender?
He isn't. I'm not saying he's a legitimate. I'm not saying he is.
Why are you considering that as a world title? So you're saying he's still a paper champion?
Because it was a world title fight. So
the next guy,
that's the facts.
Let's say
no, but the facts are it was a world title fight.
So let me ask you this, because now he's a champion emeritus, right? So if he fights another guy. Actually, I guess really we're going to get a champion, and he has to beat that guy, and that makes him a real champion, or is that a vacant title?
That makes him a real champion. That makes him a real champion.
Title, and now he has to defend that.
No, because that makes him a real champion. His fight, it makes him a real champion.
Yeah,
he's fighting another champion.
Is he?
Let me explain. Get the smoke. If you want to relate to the Wilder thing we just talked about, this is like the Wilder facing Stavern. If he's going to come back and face the winner, Fortuna and Campbell, I think that's perfect. I think if he wins that fight, he's a champion. He doesn't need to defend.
So you're saying that. So you're saying that Huey Fury legitimized Joseph Parker as a champion. Was it Fury or was it Cardano?
Yes,
I think
he did because it was a world. It was a world. It was a defense. He defended it.
All right, so that's what you guys are saying. See, for me,
the difference is Parker actually won his belt. Smoke. The difference is Parker won his belt. Then he defended it against Huey Fury.
I mean,
okay.
Okay. I mean, I get
you. I think Andrew Reese was a tough fight, to be honest. I don't think people knew about him, but I already knew about him, and I thought that he was a good fighter. So.
Huey Fury?
No, Andrew Reese.
No,
I mean that's fine, but there was a vacant title, so you got to defend. And my issue is just who you defend against should matter, not just that you get a defense in. That's really all I'm saying. I mean, we don't have when it comes to what you guys are saying, it legitimizes you. Just defend it once. I'm saying my standards are just a little bit higher. It matters who you defend against.
I'm not going to say just because you're a champion, you're elite. If you want to be an elite champion, then I would say that.
Yeah,
but in order to hold
elite.
a title or be considered a quote-unquote blank alphabet title champion, then all you have to do is defend it.
Right. So both legit. So we're using now two totally subjective terms, both legitimate and now elite. So right. So to me, I feel like we now. I think.
Well, you can be an elite fighter without being a champion.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying, but you're talking about being an elite champion, right? So now that's a different thing. You're saying you can be a champion or a elite champion, but I'm saying you can be a champion, a paper champion, which is also somewhat, you can call those illegitimate, but you can call them paper champions, and then also you can have elite champions. It's not just these two designations. I think there's several. I think there's layers to this. I think that just like there's layers to a defense.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. And the whole point was we were talking about paper champions specifically, and to become a legitimate champion. But just because someone like a Patrick Teixeira right now, right, they're technically a champion, but they haven't really defended against anyone, and they certainly haven't shown any skills or resume or anything like that in the ring to make them elite. So I'm not going to say he's not a champion, because he is clearly quite literally a champion. But I don't think he's at the top level. Do you get what I'm saying with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's the same thing with Jason. So Jason with J-Rock won a unification, and then got knocked out by Rosario. Rosario, because he beat a guy who actually unified, you can see him as a legitimate champion.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, you wouldn't necessarily consider him a duck if he doesn't go into a unification right away, because he's still a young champion and he's still unproven as a champion.
You can say he is. I don't know if I would say he's unproven though, because I think that J-Rock win was big. But you could say that he just wants time to develop. I don't think you need to unify immediately. I think you should unify within a year or two. I think after that you're kind of stretching it.
No, but we're talking about two different things. The win set him up and makes him proven as a fighter, and definitely he's a legitimate champion. But the question is, what is he proven as a champion?
Oh, like an elite champion, you're saying?
Or actually, just has he legitimized the championship? Like you said, has he defended it?
Well, no, the defense thing was after you win a vacant title.
But defenses matter even when you get it, when you're a new champion also. Like right now, what are we saying about Teofimo Lopez? In his first defense, he's going up against Loma, and we're talking about that's chasing greatness. So it's not
that's like a unification. That's not necessarily a defense.
Right, but so would Charlo be. Charlo would also be it would be a defense and a unification.
Yeah, that's why we're saying the winner of that fight would not be a paper champion, but you say they are. No, I didn't say no.
If you beat a reigning champion, it's different.
You have been on record multiple times. I'm sure I could find it. You say the winner of Andre Charlo would still be a paper champion.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you're saying? Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about something else. Yes, definitely.
Why would that be a paper champion?
Right. I thought you were saying that if Teofimo and I was still stuck on Teofimo and Loma and Charlo and Rosario. I thought you were talking about both. I didn't realize.
I don't have anything with Rosario and Charlo.
Charlo or Andre be legitimate champions if they fought each other?
Right, because in my view, neither one of them have legitimized themselves at 160, as 160 champions.
To me, Andre is a legit champion.
Yeah, but they've both got belts, and if they fight each other, then that legitimizes them, just surely. If they fight each other.
That's what happened. Okay, so let me ask you, Eric, do you think that there's a such thing as a paper champion? Forget about our definition of what that paper champion is, but do you think there is such a thing as a paper champion?
No, I don't.
That's what this whole disconnection is. Right. That's what this whole disconnection is. Somebody's got to be.
I think there's a paper champion, but I don't think Andre is a paper champion. Okay, I think Jamal is a paper champion.
There's levels.
You think Jamal is a paper champion? Okay.
I think Jamal is a paper champion because he got the belt off of a vacancy or not vacancy, off of elevation.
Yeah. Let me expand on that. If you get given the belt or get elevated from interim champion to champion, then I believe you're a paper champion.
So,
if you win a vacant belt, I don't.
Fine, but regardless of what standard you have for a paper champion,
that's my standard for it.
Fine. If two of these guys who receive belts in this manner fought, what would you think of that unification?
So for me, Andre is a real champion. So if he wins,
that's fine. I got it. But I'm just want to see conceptually. Let's take Charlo and Andre
out. If they both got elevated,
you consider paper champions. Two guys you consider paper champions. If those two guys fought in a unification, what would you think of that unification?
Nothing.
It's a championship fight. It would still be a championship fight, though. At least they're fighting each other.
Yeah, no, it's still a championship, but I'm saying I don't think highly. I'm not like, ooh. Like, for example, this is a good analogy, I think. If a Haney and Gervonta Davis fought, neither of those guys are above Teofimo or Lomachenko.
No, but they would also be holding...
Has a secondary belt, and one guy is the emeritus champion for a elevated title. Like, what would you think? What would you think of that as a unification? I guess it wouldn't be a unification.
No,
actually, it could be because Tank could get elevated to WBA Super, and then
how would he get elevated though if Lomachenko holds that?
Well, no, because Lomachenko is. Oh, damn, yeah. How could he get elevated? I guess he couldn't. He'd have to fight Lomachenko for it. Yeah,
that's my whole point. If you have two guys who don't have full titles, it's a unification.
But what happens when the WBA regular unifies? But there's a WBA Super at the same time.
It don't really count as a unification, really, does it? It does, but it doesn't. It's weird.
Right, because that's what Thurman did when he fought Garcia. He was a regular champ. He got unified,
Yeah, no, but the issue there is there was no super.
There was no super. So, yeah, no, I got it. There was none.
And the thing is, if he were to fight, let's say a Teofimo, like if he were to somehow snatch that fight, I think he would just say, I'm the IBF champion, I think the tier list is the WBC franchise, the WBA Super, the WBA and the IBF are all the top ones, and then it kind of trickles down
to
the
WBA regular is like the IBO.
Yeah,
the WBA regular is like the IBO.
Yeah,
but you can get elevated though. That's the issue, is that you can actually get elevated. So and you can get
it's more or less like the interim, isn't
it? You can get
what I'm saying. The WBA
and you can get elevated to legitimacy through a unification against a real champ. But what happens when the paper guys come together? Is it even a unification?
That's what I'm saying. When you have the WBA Super in the equation at that division at all, then the WBA regular is diminished. But if there is no Super, then the regular is just they don't even call it regular. They just say WBA champion.
Right. So let's do a hypothetical. Let's play this out a little bit. Lomachenko beats Teofimo and then goes to 130. Right. So at the time that Haney and Tank fight, there is no WBA Super.
Tank would become the WBA Super.
And the WBC regular, right?
We're saying we're assuming he's not the Emeritus champion. We're assuming he's just the WBC regular champion.
Yeah, right, because Devin Haney has to fight.
He's a WBC Emeritus.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
that
is
would
it doesn't work because
that would just be for the WBA though. That fight would just be
the
for the
Emeritus
WBA.
isn't actually a championship. It's more just like a ticket saying it's a. Well, I already said Haney wasn't a champion.
It's more mandatory.
It's like a super mandatory almost,
Yeah. No, it wouldn't. It'd just be for the WBA Super. That's all it'd be.
Hello. Okay, the Emeritus is essentially an interim. So
So and not only that, let me ask you this: do you want to see that fight? Would you think that's an excellent fight? Even though
I would like that fight, yes.
Even though it's an interim status, and there you go. Like, now you're starting to understand.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
I've understood that the whole time, though.
Right.
Yes, no. So I've understood it. I've understood it, but
just so you know that I don't. It's not that I say belts are worthless. I'm saying that you have to break down the worth of a title. The title, in and of itself, doesn't give the value of the fight.
I get that. I get what you're saying with that, because those fights sort of do make sense. But also, if you have a title shot or that fight, 90% of the time you will go for the title shot. because it makes more sense. That's what I'm saying. That's where titles come in.
Yeah,
come
I mean,
in.
if you come
titles
in,
make more sense because it validates you more as a fighter.
It depends.
And not only that, you are also more marketable.
If you don't have the validation and the marketability already, if you haven't built it up, you can actually be already validated and be actually your market can actually transcend the belts.
You can do, but that also means you've already won belts previously.
Yeah, definitely.
90% of the time. So the belts do matter at a certain point of your career. Like Canelo can fight now without belts, and nobody would give a shit really.
Yeah, true.
Like he is at that.
Well, yes and no, because people wouldn't actually care. People wouldn't actually care in terms of like if he's fighting another top fighter. But then you have guys saying he's ducking Andre, and he's ducking Andre because Andre has a WBO. But that's where it becomes messy,
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, like he did when he went up to light heavy and fought Kovalev. I know he was fighting for a belt there, but he didn't have a belt. He was champion at middleweight instead of unifying. He went up to get another belt.
All right, so are we done with Kumbaya? Are we done with Kumbaya? You want to get into another controversial topic?
We're done with the Wilder. We came to an agreement. El Jefe said someone won, which was funny, but I think it was just we came to an understanding. We all settled that Reigns Severn counts and Klitschko counts. So we all budged a little, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like there's some grudging that for some reason people have a problem acknowledging that AJ wasn't actually a legitimate champion after the Martin win. I don't know that
I don't really care. I didn't really. I wasn't like, oh yeah, he's a champion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's a champion, but until he fought Klitschko, that's when I was like, okay, this is a real deal.
Yeah, the Klitschko one validated him. And in all fairness, we probably got it twisted because we thought you meant that Klitschko didn't validate him.
I think at one point you said but you were talking about unification. So we were arguing different things at once, and that's why we were having this huge misunderstanding.
Yeah. We started it somewhere else and then started having a different conversation. And it was two people.
Yeah.
Talking past each other. But yeah, we figured all that out. Kumbaya, hold hands. Let's get right back into it.
And before we go into the next topic, I want to say salute to my guy on the panel, 1-2 Kid. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? I was stuck on another live, man. I was trying to get over here. I seen you was on. You popped on when it was going on, but there was like a serious subject going on over there. And then I came over here. As soon as I had to cut out. Yeah, man. I had to show my man support. The Spider-Man of the Avengers, IBT. You know what I'm saying? IBT is doing his thing, man. Congratulations on all your success. And I'm glad your channel is growing, brother, man. Keep it up. Keep up the good stuff. Shout out to Eric and GTS and the entire and Samuel Shaw. I see you out there, man. Sporting Advantage. Keep your thing up too. I seen you on the big tower, man. I seen you doing your thing. Was you an electrician? Keep it up, man. You stay on the grind, brothers. So what's going on? What we conversating about, man?
Really quickly. Justin Trouble earlier brought to my attention that I reached 100 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you guys, and basically thanks for coming on the lives, because that's what's like most important to me is just talking to each other. I don't want to be like one of those channels that there's a bunch of ghost channels, So I don't have that many people here, but the ones that I do have, I really appreciate. So just thank you everyone for watching and staying around and stuff like that.
Like I said, man, I was trying to get on earlier, man, and I'm probably one of them ghost channels because I'll be having 3 a.m. live streams and shit.
I never get the unification to the next day. OTK. But what was the serious subject? We're in between subjects right now. What was the serious subject you were just getting off of?
There was some. It started with a little boxing, and then this dude just literally came out and said he was a racist, and everybody started tearing him up. And
oh shit.
Yeah.
All right, so what was the boxing conversation? Forget the controversy. What was the actual boxing conversation about?
I'm telling you, the other one was going on for so long that I forgot what we were talking about. Yeah, man. But what y'all into right now? What's the conversation?
It's a new one.
We're in between. We're trying to. I don't mind getting it cooking again. We just finished.
We just finished answering. Yeah, we just finished answering what makes a champion not a paper champion, like a legitimate champion, and kind of like outlining the I don't know exactly the word I'm trying to find here, but the stipulations and the requirements one has to accomplish or like pass in order to be considered a legitimate champion. And we came up to that. So what do you think, 1-2-3? Get your quick take on what you think makes a legit champ, like a non-paper champion.
Okay, I would have to say resume and eagerness to be great. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's it. That's it. The eagerness to try to be great. I mean, if a guy's got a title and he's trying to, and everything in his power to try to be great, and the powers that be don't allow him to be, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you gotta want it before you can get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the start, you know, to me anyway. I mean that's just for me. The eagerness to be great and you know, the determination to do so. I like when people talk about when they have a good performance and they say, I gotta work still. I got a lot of work to do. Like that shows me the aptitude to move forward, that they're attempting to continue to grow. Those to me that's greatness. That's great. Or attempted to be. Is there any other questions, or are we moving on to another subject? Or
yeah, you just caught us in the transition period, so it's perfect. I wanted to talk to you. I don't know if you guys have been. I think Hefe might join, so we might change. But just really quick, are you guys interested in the Andre Williams fight? Liam Williams will be his next mandatory.
Myself, I think it's an okay fight, but I think he could be fighting a better fighter.
Yeah, it's mandatory. So
right,
yeah,
but
it's a mandatory. So I'm cool with that. Liam Williams probably deserves it. To be fair, he's British. Yeah. He's a British fighter.
Right.
He does deserve it. He's been on the circuit for a while. He lost to Liam Smith in a close fight. The first.
Did you
fight
think he lost? Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen the first fight. The first fight was very close. The second fight, I believe he lost. But I think he probably deserves a title shot. I don't think he wins, but he deserves it. So I'm not mad at that fight.
Yeah, I agree. And from what I saw in the first fight, he was winning, and then he had like a headbutt cut, and they had to stop the fight.
Yeah,
and then in the second fight, a lot of people, it was like controversial majority decision to Liam Smith.
Yeah, yeah. Both fights were good fights. So yeah, I'm not mad at that fight. I think he does deserve a world title shot, seeing as Liam Smith went on and did some bits. So yeah, I'm not mad at that fight at all.
Yeah, I think the you know, if Andre should get past him, and you know, Charlo get past Eubank, I think now you're talking about, you know, two guys that really need to see each other.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily need to see each other, but should see each other.
No, you said it's clip. Sorry. I'm just kidding.
My thing with that is those two just you know, if they're chasing Canelo, they need to fight each other first, because Canelo ain't gonna fight either of them yet. Because they're not bringing anything to the table.
If Andre can't get that Charlo fight for political reasons or whatever excuses people are using nowadays, then he needs to go out there and get a decent name, a guy like he's got to do that. And for as much as I've been defending the guy, he got to get out there and prove himself, man.
Yeah, I've been saying it for both of them.
Yeah,
both of them need to stop chasing Canelo. It's the same thing I say about Bud and Bud and Spence. He just needs to stop chasing that fight and move on.
But it makes no sense to me, though. Like that whole situation. The reason it doesn't make any sense to me is because, number one, Canelo, me and Obias was into it earlier, and Canelo really never offered him nothing, right? Nope. And then, but he did offer, you know, Charlo a shot, and that's legacy and money, and it never came to be. So it was like, if you don't want if you don't want Canelo, and you don't want Andre, both the offers have been.
Who do you want?
What are you doing? Like, what is the point? And
Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
what's up,
What's up, El Jefe?
Not much, man. How you guys doing?
Well, chilling.
I don't know.
Man.
I don't know what.
How many push-ups
talking
today,
about-
El Jefe?
We're just talking about
I think
Andre
Carlo's a
versus
good
Williams
fighter.
right now.
Wait, hold on. What did 1, 2 kids say?
You get all 250 in today?
250.
250 push-ups.
Oh, I was confused for a moment. Yeah, bro. I just finished the man. I just finished my
he got
50
5.
set, bro. I did 50 earlier before my stream, and I just did 50 right now, man. But I wanted to talk about the sporting. What's his name? Sporting advantage. Yeah. He's been saying that he's botting me, so I'm calling him out. So sporting advantage. Jump on,
advantage.
bro.
Hop on, man.
And earlier, man, I just want to congratulate Get the Smoke, bro, because he was correct on the whole Arreola situation. So I want to congratulate Get the Smoke for
back on another stream, Jefe. We enjoyed having you on today. Goodbye. Thank you.
Get the smoke. Get the smoke. You was talking about titties today?
Nah, not at all. I mean, yeah, that's part of the titty, but I was not talking about the titty.
He was bigging up the titty.
Yeah, because a lot of people were saying that Dillian White's much better than Arreola.
Let's go.
But how is Dillian White better than Arreola? If you guys could break that down real quick.
Yo, LFA, next subject, please. We're on Liam Williams and Andre.
Man. Yeah, let's talk about guys we actually want to talk about. Like, Jesus.
I mean, Jefe, if you want, we can do a little 5-minute schooling session. What makes a fighter better than another?
Go ahead. Well, what are you guys speaking on? Charlie, Andre?
I'll say this. I'll say Dillian White needs to rematch Joseph Parker and Rivas. That's where.
I want to see the Joseph Parker rematch, to be honest, because I thought that
I agree.
It was kind of weird with the whole knockdown being kind of suspect.
Well, Dillian White's been a cheater for years, bro. He got popped for deep ball. He was wearing small gloves, man. This dude's just a career cheat. He's a master cheat.
This is the factual program.
El Jefe, I got a question for you.
Go
How
ahead.
do you feel about Virgil Ortiz calling out, Earl Spence again?
Like I already said my opinion. I don't think the fight should happen yet. But if overall, I don't want the fight to happen, man, because I think
he said 154 in 2 years. He said 154 in 2 years.
Did he? Was that what it is?
He said
he's going to fight Spence in 2 years at 154.
If you're asking my opinion, I think they shouldn't fight just on GP.
Just wait. Nah,
just on GP. No,
but between you and me, I kind of get it because there was a point in me watching boxing where I was like, I didn't want to see two guys fight just yet, and that was Jermaine Taylor and Bernard Hopkins. I thought it was a little too early for Taylor, and it turned out to be. Even though he won, he never changed up his game. He thought he was the best after that.
No, but I'm saying overall they shouldn't fight.
For me, as a prospect, sometimes a champion has got every right to say, you know what, just wait a year or two. Because you're in
I want both of them to go after Bud. That's the main target.
Unfortunately, though, Eric, what happens is it says a year or two, but then it turns into 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
5.
Yeah, but if you're willing, like Ortiz hasn't done anything just yet to warrant that Earl Spence fight.
Oh no, I get that.
Earl Spence, there's so many fighters Earl can fight that he'll gain more from beating than Virgil Ortiz.
I'm just fucking with El Jefe.
Virgil Ortiz.
Let me say this.
Virgil
Ortiz needs a little more time.
I think the main target should be.
All anybody will say is he beat him when he was green. The same way
Bud Crawford is the main target.
Floyd.
I think what Virgil Ortiz did was low-key telling himself about what his intentions are at 147. Because if he's talking about moving up to 154 in 2 years, he's not about to do shit at 147 in the next 2 years.
He wants. Nah, he ain't.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily what it means, to be honest.
He knows he's going to outgrow it.
I just think
he's after getting a belt and moving up.
I just think 2 Texas fighters shouldn't be fighting each other, but that's just my opinion.
I don't really care about that. But what I'm
thinking from the same place.
I mean,
is Texas versus the world. So go ahead.
When you're from the same place, you need a fight.
What the fuck? 2 years. 2 years from now, how would you see that fight going? El Jefe? If
I don't know, cause
Ortiz was ripping through motherfuckers, how would you see that fight going down?
I want to see if he's ripping through who. First of all, like I want to see.
So
his
he's ripping
opponent.
through big names. How would you see that fight going?
Stylistically, like I don't know. Stylistically, I don't see Spence going backwards, and I don't see Virgil Ortiz going backwards.
It's just gonna be a firefight.
It's gonna be a battle of wills. Whoever has more will is gonna win that fight.
It's gonna be a war.
There we go.
It's gonna be a war.
It would be a great fight.
It's gonna be the Texans and the Cowboys,
especially at 154, where they're both are probably at the peak of powers.
Yeah.
Yo, Black and Brown, if you want to debate, bro, you could jump on also, man. Because
let me highlight what he's saying. He said, it's like saying you don't want to see Haney Garcia, right? But really quick,
they don't come from the same gym.
Smoke.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're from the same gym. They don't train in the same gym now, but yeah. Wait, really quick, let me say, because I don't really think that Virgil Ortiz is just going to sit around for 2 years. He has the WBA gold right now. Manny Pacquiao's not going to be around in 2 years, so we could potentially see him fight the WBA champion towards the end of his welterweight career. But now you can go 1-2, kid.
Yeah.
All right, El Jefe, you're 21, right? How many push-ups you do a day? 250?
I do 250 push-ups, 250 sit-ups a day. I try to do squats and the little bear climbs, but it's just too.
When I was 21, you know how many push-ups I would do a day?
Since the gym, it's close, man. That's what I'm doing.
You know how many push-ups I was doing when I was 21?
But it's not only that. I also do yoga. I do a little bit of yoga just to stress, de-stress the mind and the body. And I'm also reading.
I believe this guy.
I'm reading a lot.
Let me throw in my little 2 cents as the old guy on the panel. Being limber as you go through life is very important.
Very, very, very important. Very important.
But it's not only the physical strain that you're putting on yourself; it's about some mental strain also, man.
But I'm saying, man, you got to work your back out. If you just working your chest out like
that's the point of yoga. Yoga, you do work your back because you're in positions that your back has never seen. So you're working those little small fibers on your back.
Well, you got to be, because what will happen is you'll have issues with the shoulders when you get older.
Yeah, and I've already been having issues, especially like punching like the punching bag and shit. Like after a while, your shoulders start hurting, man. So the yoga, it helps you out. It de-stresses your shoulder. So
there you go.
So let me actually explain what it is. It's because your arms are more powerful than your back. So the stress on your back is making your shoulders hurt.
No,
it's overall. That's a problem with boxers.
It's your chest. Overall. It's your chest. If your chest is stronger than your back, your chest will pull your shoulders forward so that you don't have proper posture.
I don't know if you notice, boxers are usually in the forward position, so that's why most of them have like shoulder problems or sometimes, like you said, back problems because they don't work out those muscles.
Yeah, you got to work out the back. So I'm saying if you're doing 250, there you go. Well, I'm just saying if you do that, man, I want you guys to pay attention to your back too, because you got to keep it equal. Everything got to be in unison. If it's not, and you got muscles that are stronger than others, what it's going to do is it's going to strain the other muscles, and it's going to cause problems with like a rotator cuff and shit like that. You can't just work out one side of your body. That's why I was saying, you said you're doing your sit-ups and all that shit, but I'm like, yo, man, work your back out, because there's backwards sit-ups too that you should be doing too, that'll work your back out, and then also like flies but backwards. And what that'll do is that'll position your shoulders in the proper state so that you're not going to have any of them issues later on in life. Because I used to do 1,000 push-ups a day.
Oh, that's great, bro.
Yeah,
but that's more like so were you locked up or what? When did you start doing 1,000 push-ups?
Doing White and Povetkin, like.
Man, let the best bum win, bro. Bum versus bum. Let the best bum win. Go ahead, continue.
But El Jefe, between us, like that ended up giving me a shoulder problem, but I beat it by myself. And what I'm just trying to say is that I just started working my back out, and then boom, I didn't have a shoulder problem anymore. So now was it.
I also have like a little string thing. I don't know what the fuck it's called, like those rubber strings, and usually I work like my back out with that shit too. Like
Original
there you
fan?
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Beating Povetkin does not give me any clarity on the Parker or the Rivas situation.
Facts. And I also was gonna
I
say
think he beat
running
Rivas.
a
What do you
lot
mean Rivas
helps a lot, bro. Like I don't know if you guys got mountains or around your area, but I would recommend people to run on mountains, man. It just clears your mind.
What you say, IBT?
I didn't get what you were saying with Rivas. I mean, I thought it was a competitive fight. But of all the rematches I want to see with Dillian Whyte, I want to see Joseph Parker or AJ. I think both those are good.
Yeah, but you know what Dillian Whyte is, man. I just want him to show up to fight, man. I know he had 3 weeks notice, but damn, to let himself go like that means he ain't treating himself like an athlete.
He was in a state. Yeah, he
you know, I mean, he's
like I said before. I don't even rate Dillian Whyte as a good fighter, but he's not a very good boxer. Dillian Whyte, his left hook's good, but his footwork's trash. His head movement's trash.
What gets him through is his strength and the fact that he's athletic. But if he allows himself to keep getting that size, that's gonna pay dividend on his body. He's gotta stay in shape, man, and then he could be a force to be reckoned with because he's put guys out, man, guys with decent chins. So, I mean,
yeah, right now he's. I saw an interview with him the other day. Right now he's in the gym because in England we're on quarantine, we're on lockdown, so ain't nobody going anywhere.
Yeah,
and there ain't no shops or nothing open, no restaurants or anything open. So right now he just said that he's in the gym. And he's just constantly in the gym, so hopefully he can keep his weight down. But the Povetkin fight is a hard fight for him.
Yeah, but you know what, too, Eric? All this time that this lockdown's going on, are these guys working out or are they just juicing out?
Well, I don't know.
We don't know.
You don't know, do you? It depends. You don't know because
these guys,
let's be honest, boxing ain't clean. There ain't many fighters who's clean.
I was just saying this on the last live. I was like, some of these guys gonna be coming out in another weight division. They're gonna be coming out looking like little Hulks and shit.
I think a lot of fighters should be moving up in weight, man, especially with this coronavirus thing going on, bro. Because Terrence Crawford is one of these dudes that should move up, man. Because Terrence Crawford, how many years has he been at the welterweight division, bro? He has an opportunity to fight Teixeira. He can fight Charlo. Like, why is he waiting his whole career on Spence? But that's just my opinion.
He's the smallest champion in that weight.
This is just a clout chaser, bro.
He is the smallest champion in that weight.
You want to debate right now? You're a buzz hater so hard, Hefe. You don't even try to hide it.
You know what?
But he's the smallest champion in that. He's the smallest champion in that weight class.
You know what tells me people are haters? I'm gonna tell you.
Pacquiao.
Same trend for any hater or any fighter. The first thing they say is they should move up.
Mm-hmm.
They should move up. You know, when they got a whole bunch of fighters and they fanboying for fighters around them in their weight division, they always say they should move up and fight somebody else.
I see what you're saying.
Why should Bud move up and not Spence?
Both of them said that they would move up, so I mean,
but
that's the problem.
Bro, what I'm saying is, if El Jefe is saying Bud is too big, he's being a weight bully, he needs to move up. Why is he not saying that? Why is he not keeping the same energy about Spence? Because Spence is a bigger guy.
I could tell you why if you ask me, but the reason I'm saying is because Errol Spence has opportunities at 147. He has Danny Garcia. You got the Sean Porter rematch. You got
Crawford?
Virgil Ortiz.
Bro,
let me respond, man. You guys are cutting me off. He has opportunities at 147. Bud Crawford doesn't. Bud Crawford had his opportunity with Teixeira, the 154 champ. If he was about opportunities and like building his career, he should have moved up. Wait, hold on, man. But the difference as Bud Crawford, bro, he's low-key cloud chasing and he's living and chasing Errol Spence. That's his whole and all be all, man. But I think Terrence Crawford should move to the opportunities he has, man. So that's what I'm saying.
Not only that, I mean, I actually second not necessarily the moving up, but I don't mind if he did move up and and got an easy belt. But the issue is
Isn't that a cherry pick though?
when you talk about the clout chasing. If you guys check the timeline, what you'll find is Terrence Crawford used Spence to even get his re-sign deal with Top Rank. He leveraged that fight in order to get that long-term deal.
Oh,
yeah, but the issue isn't saying that he can't move up.
No, the issue is that
the we all know, and the opportunities. I feel like it is Bob Arum's job to create those opportunities. That's not necessarily, and it's Spence's job to make sure that the public doesn't, so the blame doesn't fall on him. So he needs to be. I feel like Terrence Crawford is being way too complacent for this whole.
I think one, two kids said this before. That Spence isn't active, so there's no point in even talking about him. Bud just needs to shut the fuck up about Spence, and I'm a Bud fan. He just needs to shut the fuck up about Spence. Keep his name out and just do his own thing. Try and fight Porter and stop that bullshit with we're friends. I don't care. Fight Ugas. Fight some decent fighters in that division, and then you force the fights. It's the same as the middleweight division. You need to fight other fighters, good fighters, and you force the big fights.
Yeah, I'm not even mad at Kell Brook. If he did Kell Brook and then came over the top with somebody else like an Ugas or a Danny Garcia or a Sean
Wait a minute. Who would he need
get
to
this
fight?
smoke.
Wait a minute. Between you and El Jefe, get this smoke. Who would Bud have to fight where you'd be like, yo, Spence needs to fight him?
Kell Brook. That's a good start. Like Get the Smoke was saying. And that's what wait. And that's what Errol hold on. That's what Errol Spence Errol Spence fans have been saying that for months now. He should fight Kell Brook. But what does Bob Arum come out? He says, why would we fight Kell Brook? And then a few months pass, and what is he doing? He's trying to make the fight with Kell Brook. So he should just do that.
He should fight. You're saying he should fight Kell Brook. Why Kell Brook? Because
why not? He got nobody else.
I was at Kell Brook's. Was
he gonna fight Mean Machine again?
I was
best Putin. Come on, bro. Fight Kell Brook, bro.
Ain't doing shit.
All right, so what I'm trying to say is this: y'all trying to double up. I'm saying, who do you think he would need to fight that would be willing to fight him, that he could fight right now, one guy, and then you say, hey, he needs to fight Spence now.
Okay, so I think that Bud has already done enough. I don't think that he needs to fight some other guy to legitimize him as a contender for Spence or for that fight to be the thing. What I think that he needs to do is more like solidify his negotiating power. And towards that end, Pacquiao. That's the guy he needs to fight in order to increase his negotiating power, so he can say it's 50-50 and perhaps force a inter-network deal. So nobody has to leave their networks in order for the fight to happen.
So if he fought a Pacquiao and he took a pay cut to fight a Pacquiao because he would have to, right? He did it. You'd be like, yo, Spence needs to fight this guy.
Someone said something interesting.
At that point, it's 50-50. Forget all that A side and all that stuff. It's 50-50.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At that point, there is no more like I need to fight Pacquiao or let me see what's up with Keith Thurman or none of that stuff.
Can I talk about something pretty interesting about that whole Pacquiao?
You know what's a perfect example of this situation? I think Wilder versus AJ is a perfect example. You guys remember back in 2017, AJ fans were saying Wilder doesn't sell this, Wilder doesn't do this. And what did Wilder do? Wilder built his own clout, he built his own career, and if anything, Wilder's much bigger than AJ now. So
this IBT. Go ahead, IBT.
All right, like I was saying before, Hefe started talking about something else. What's interesting about Pacquiao is that we don't even know if we're gonna get to see him fight again because we don't know how long this delay will be. And by the time the delay ends, he could have to be a senator again, or he might get stripped at that point. So if the delay lasts up until he has to do his senator work and he can't have a fight, then he might just retire because at that rate he would be like 43 or 42 or something like that. So we might not even see Pacquiao fight again. That's the craziest part.
You were saying Kell Brook would be the fight, and then Errol Spence would have to fight him. I know what you're like. If if Bud beats Kell Brook, all you're gonna say is, "Oh well, Earl's already beat him. Earl beat him first, so that don't really mean anything." That's the shit you're gonna come out with.
No,
So
I wouldn't say that because I would have said that. I would have
Yes, you
said that
would.
about Triple G with Kell Brook because
Yes,
Triple
you
G
would.
beat Kell Brook first. A win is a win, bro. I don't
That's
make
not got to do with
excuses.
Spence.
I go
That's
by
not got
what's
to do
on
with
paper,
Spence.
bro.
I think Kell
That
Brook
has
is a
nothing
great.
to do with Spence.
I think Kell Brook is a great placement holder, so that Terrence Crawford doesn't slip in his pound for pound rankings. And
Exactly. But he did.
But that's about it.
But that doesn't warrant him that isn't a fight you're going to say, "Oh well, now he's beat him."
Yeah, the only thing the only thing that's going to increase his cachet in the division is a unification. There is no other guy like Danny Garcia is a great fight. Porter is a great fight, but none of those are going to be like now he needs to fight Errol Spence. Like he already is.
What about Ugas? What if he fought Yordenis Ugas?
Then you can start talking about like those people who have him as I think that increases his legitimacy at 147, but that doesn't necessarily force a Spence fight or actually even increase his negotiating power in the Spence fight.
It makes his resume much better though at 147.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, legacy wise.
Get the smoke. It also puts him in what we're talking about. It puts him in position to fight Errol Spence. So it not only.
I think he can. He's already in position. Like
not really.
In that position.
He's still behind Porter and a Danny Garcia fight and a Pacquiao fight.
He ain't. Hell no,
yes, he is. According to the PBC, he is.
Hell
yeah,
no.
But we're talking about boxing, not fanboying for a network.
I'm not fanboying, bro. I'm just breaking the game down. That's what I'm doing.
The best fight for Earl Spence and for Bud is each other right now. But in order for Bud to force that fight, like Smoke says, Pacquiao was probably the only fight that forces that even closer. No other fight will.
But does Pacquiao take that fight?
Well, we don't know. Probably not, but this is what, like Smoke said, that's probably the only fight that enhances the Spence fight even more. No other fight enhances it any more than what it already is at, because it's already at a level where people want to watch it. If he beats Pacquiao, then people go, "Oh well, he got 2 belts now. We both got 2 belts."
Yeah, like anybody else is like a kind of annoying marination. Like even Spence coming off of COVID and a car crash has to get Danny Garcia in a mandatory in order for him to not get killed for it. And Danny Garcia is a hell of a fighter. You know, I feel like Danny Garcia, like Ugas and Danny Garcia is a great fight.
And we don't even know if he'll get past Danny Garcia or if he'll keep the belt because he might vacate.
Yeah, we don't even know what he's like.
What about
we don't even know what it's going to be
Porter
like.
rematch? You don't think a Porter rematch is necessary just to shut up the haters? Don't you think that? Because a lot of people are still saying Porter.
No. You know what? No. This ain't gonna go down. Because I'm gonna tell you straight up. Yeah, listen. Garcia was ranked number 1 in the WBO and didn't want no smoke. All right. You know. Yeah, your man Virgil Ortiz was ranked number 3 in the WBO and don't want no smoke. Bud is calling all these guys out with championships and they don't want no smoke. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we got to take somebody from.
What about Boots?
Where's Boots ranked?
What's Boots gonna do?
14 the WBO. So he can fight Boots.
Hell no, Boots.
14. Really? Are you going to give him props for fighting Boots, and then are you going to say, "Oh, Spence should take the fight"? Then,
for all we know, he could beat Boots, and Boots could go on to be a Hall of Famer. And who does that make look good?
Yeah, but that's for all we know.
Oh, man, you make no sense
right now.
Why don't
climate? It don't make no sense.
Why don't Boots and Ortiz fight since he ain't ready to fight nobody?
But we're talking about champions. We're not talking about prospects. I'm talking about Bud Crawford.
All right, you talk about Bud
fighting prospects.
We're talking about who should Bud fight. I'm saying he should fight Boots.
You had the number 1, which was Garcia. And what happened?
I think Virgil Ortiz should fight Mikey, in my opinion.
Yeah. You don't want to talk about that.
If you don't want to see Spence and Ortiz fight because they came from the same gym at one point, Virgil Ortiz and Mikey Garcia are literally in the same gym right now.
Danny Garcia was ranked number 1 in the WBO.
But it wasn't so much same gym. He was saying that was the Homer thing. He just Texas fighter versus Texas fighter.
Yeah, but like these guys literally,
Mikey Garcia is the California guy.
These guys literally talk to each other every day. Like, you know, they go to the same gym, they spar together. Why would you have them fight?
Yeah, right. But he's saying that his connection is a Texas one, not necessarily a same gym one, or that they're friends. It's just that he doesn't want to see a Texican fight a Texan fight another Texan. No, because Spence is actually not that. Spence is not a, you know, he's not Mexican. I'm Mexican descent. So he's really just talking about Texas. He's just saying Texas.
that made me crack up. Texican.
Hey, that's what they got. Yeah, man.
That's what.
I mean, Virgil is Texican, I guess. Yeah.
Yep, that's what I've been calling El Jefe for probably about 2 months.
Oh my God!
No, shout out to the Tejanos. That's
yes, absolutely. Shout out to El Jefe and his channel, man. I enjoy listening to you, man. I do though. I enjoy it, man. He had his little debates going on today, and man.
Yeah, that was good today.
Yeah, IBT, man, and get the smoke for making them shits entertaining, man. You make it entertaining. You bring a lot of heat, and I'm not gonna sit here and knock you mad. You've been on my lives where we was kicking it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you guys are all cool, man. I like the boxing community growing, even if it ain't growing in the direction that I feel. It just gives me more amp to get involved and say fuck that. You know what I'm saying?
You know. The guys come with it is entertaining. It is exactly that. Like at a certain point, it can devolve into some ridiculousness just on certain people's things, but it's not personal. That's just like it's just the vibe of the channel.
No.
So you just go into a thing, and it's like, you know, it's entertaining to do it. It's cool. Everything's
as long as people don't take it personal.
Yeah, and it's at least still in the realm of boxing. Even when it comes down to like even the personal digs, it's still like personal digs about boxing.
And you know what scares me the most about the boxing, the boxing game? Not the community, because I think the community keeps it live, 124. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, the one concern that I have is that they're milking these fights for so long that nobody loves boxing no more because they're gonna milk it till it dies.
They've been doing that though. They always do it.
Pop off, man. I want the shit to go off, man. I don't want these guys fighting when they're 35 and 36. I want this shit to pop off now, man. That will keep the boxing alive. That'll keep the hype up. I mean, how much is that going to hype us as individuals that have channels or go to channels or the chats? What's up?
After this COVID-19, this coronavirus, I think people are going to start getting these fights happening because they don't know what climate we're going to end up in. So these fights might end up happening. They might say, you know what, we need to do these fights now before, something happens and we can't get these fights.
That's a good point because they ain't going to have crowds too. So they might actually have to push these fights to get the networks to play them.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully we get boxing back this year, man.
The pay-per-view might actually come back with all of that. The pay-per-view model.
I don't know about that, bro. A lot of people are going to be struggling, so I don't know about pay-per-view.
If people ain't going to go to the fights, the fighters have to be paid somehow.
What I think is more interesting to think about is that because it's a combat sport, it's an individual sport, and it's really mainstream. You know, like you don't see a lot of other individual sports be mainstream. It's more likely to come back before or during the pandemic. So I wonder if that'll cause an increase in views because people have nothing else to do and it's a new sporting event.
Yeah, but that's my point. That's my exact point.
Boxing is actually on the rise.
People ain't going to be there. People ain't going to be there to watch it.
Actually, boxing's on the rise in America. Like America's a little bit different than the UK when it comes to going to fights. Like because it's just so the landmass is so vast. You know what I mean? Like in order for me to go to a fight in New York, if I was to drive to that thing, it would take me a little under 2 weeks to do it.
So
you know what?
The furthest I have to travel is like 4 hours.
You know what's fucking awesome about the UK though? These guys fighting in front of 80,000 fans. That's got to be fucking insane.
It's crazy. Like the biggest I've been at was Lomachenko versus Campbell. I went to
But I ain't gonna
Lomachenko
lie,
versus
bro.
Campbell.
Like I
and
ain't gonna
that
lie,
was
the
mad.
UK, like I respect the UK and everything, but I think, like, no disrespect to the majority fans are casuals a bit. So, but it's all good. It's all
Hell no, you must
good
be
for the sport of
crazy.
boxing, man. Because
No,
crazy.
it's not that. It's that there's a resurgence. There's a renaissance in the UK boxing that started with Tyson Fury beating Klitschko, and then it went out of control when AJ beat
Yeah,
Klitschko.
let me put this in perspective. Yeah, LFA. 1 second, 1 2.
Go ahead,
we
man.
have to stay up till right now. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm talking on a live about boxing. How long have I been on here since?
Thank you for being on here, man.
I was on LFA stream before, and I've come on to IBTs now. So I've been up all night watching boxing. I'm used to being awake anyway. But you've got to think, all these fights in America, we used to having to stay up to watch these fights. So you can't just call us casual fights because we watch the big fights.
No,
we stay up
I was
to
just
watch
taking a little
these
dig,
fights
man, at
in
the
America.
UK, man.
Nah,
I was just
but
fucking. I was just fucking with y'all,
You know,
man.
you can't say casual fights when people stayed up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just to watch fights.
They just have a new generation of boxing fans, whereas in America we don't really have.
Nah, man, I love the UK, man.
We just don't have a new surgeon. We just
like I wake up in the mornings to watch the Premier League sometimes, so I understand where Eric is coming from.
It's just like you though, because you represent Texas. They represent, and I'm dead serious. It's like a tribal thing.
Yeah.
But it's like,
but Texas is the greatest state of America, man. It's nothing
they're gonna
compared to the UK.
come all the way to the United States to represent their fighter.
You agree with that?
Hell yeah.
Kid? Texas is the greatest state in America, man.
Now, I'm agree with the fact. No, hell no. I think Texas is probably a good state to live in. I mean, I ain't never lived there, but you never lived in New York, so. How can you say it's the greatest state? I love New York.
It's too crowded, bro.
The rats are too big. Boxing is like the third.
How many shirts came out, and how many anything says that I love Texas?
How about them Cowboys?
It's literally don't mess with Texas. It's actually don't mess with Texas.
Yeah. Don't litter, man. That's what it means.
But you can get I love New York.
Don't mess up Texas.
You can get I love New York T-shirt in Texas.
Okay, what's the most popular slogan?
I'm sorry.
What's the most popular slogan? How about them Cowboys, man? Number one.
Look,
I could get I love a New York T-shirt in England.
I'm a Cowboys fan. Hardcore Cowboys fan. But I'm New York to the heart. Yo, I'm
sorry. The whole world is California dreaming. Like you guys are like slipping. Like New York too.
The sunshine is nice. The sunshine
I ain't
is
gonna
nice,
lie,
but
bro.
I like 4 seasons. I got 4 seasons. I got 90-degree weather. I got snow.
You like 10 inches of snow, bro.
Yeah, you can keep the
shit, man.
Right,
I got family in New
you
York.
like Caro in our water, El Jefe?
Yeah, you can keep the
like
snow.
Caro in our lake water, El Jefe?
Continue, man. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
1 2.
Texas. What? What's up, Eric?
I got family in New York, in Brooklyn.
See? Boom. There you go. See?
I lived in Brooklyn 3 years.
There you go, GTS. My man.
Man, the rats are too big, bro. That's all I gotta say, man.
Now the rats in Manhattan are bigger than the rats in Brooklyn. I can tell you that.
Y'all got rattlesnakes and shit. The snakes are big in Texas.
Hell no. Snakes?
The guns are long in Texas, and everybody got one.
Yeah, because they got snakes.
Y'all can keep that shit.
Snakes that wear boots.
Snakes that wear boots. Yeah. I mean, I ain't got nothing against Texas. I'm just saying, hey, I got to represent where I'm from. Shit.
Yeah, but low key, New York's struggling. Like who's their top boxer right now, man? If you really think about it.
Look, why you bringing up old shit? Mike Tyson is the bomb. Is that why you hate Mike Tyson? In New York?
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. We had too many hours about this Mike Tyson shit today.
Nah, bro. Tomorrow I'm gonna finish up Mike Tyson, so stay tuned, man.
It was finished, LFA. It was done.
All right, fellas. It's been great again.
Yeah, I will get some sleep.
Yeah.
Have a good one, GTS, Eric, IBT, El Jefe.
Sleep safe, man. Stay away from the coronavirus, man. 6 feet of distance, man.
Yeah.
Do your push-ups. Don't do drugs unless you buy them from the 1-2 kid. And allegedly. And
IBT, thanks for having me on, man.
Eric, have a good one, man. Everybody have a good one. I'm just fucking around. Sporting Advantage. Keep your shit going. Samuel Shaw, Boxing Monster, all you fellas, man. Do your thing. Shout out to all y'all. IBT, man. Keep doing your thing, man. Same with you, El Jefe, man. I'm glad.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I really do. Because you guys are doing a hell of a job, man. Honestly, man. I'm really enjoying watching both of you guys' content. So keep it up, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Yo, IBT, I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh, he left. What were you saying?
I don't know. Were you gonna close it down, bro? Everyone just popped out.
Yeah, I can keep it open if you want to, but if you leave, I'll just talk a little bit and then I'll probably go.
Well, I don't got really much to say, man. Unless you gotta ask me a question, bro.
You know, I think we could actually have a debate right now if you want.
Nah, not a debate, bro.
No, why not?
I'm kind of burned out, man. So we'll save that for next time, bro. Like after a while, bro.
So you're marinating? You're ducking?
Nah, I got 3 debates, man. I got Nyota, then I got Black and Brown, and then you're next, bro. But I gotta get through and Dan the Man because Dan the Man been saying he bought me, bro. But that's a lie.
I don't know. I was there, man, and I'm not gonna say I didn't think you bought him.
So what's your resume, bro? Because I know you've been new. So who have you debated so far, man?
Okay, so I have only been in one. What's it called? What's the word? Corporate. I've only been in one corporate debate, but I thought that was easy. Yeah, that was a body bag. And then and then I think I've low key debated you, but then you let a bunch of people on, and then it was not really me anymore. You know what I mean? With the Mike Tyson one today.
Yeah.
And I also get to smoke. Have you heard of that? I get to smoke and him go back and forth all the time. I did.
So who won? When you guys were talking about the Arreola, since I popped off, who do you think won that debate or discussion, whatever you want to call it?
That one wasn't really a debate because it just turned out to be miscommunication. You get it?
Man, so you haven't debated nobody, bro.
I mean,
basically.
I've not done a lot of corporate debates because people don't really do that, but I'd be down to do that. The only issue is a lot of people don't like doing that. You know what I mean? So. I'm biased, kinda. Jalik, and he left though. He said shout outs to me, and then he made the chicken nugget stuff, and he left. And then there's another one before that. And then Unbiased, I didn't debate him, but when you were talking to Jalik and Unbiased hopped on, I came to defend you. Remember?
Yeah.
Because he started talking about other stuff, like sidetracking you. Yeah, I mean, not too many people, I think.
Yeah,
I think the best ones are probably like Get the Smoke has a bunch of energy. Unbiased brings facts. Jalik wasn't too hard. I mean, I don't think he had a good argument for it. Like, I don't think he was on the right side. JFL was easy, and then I want to get to you, but I mean, I don't really think we got to finish that.
Yeah, like when it comes to debates, bro, like when I first jumped up on this YouTube shit, which I would say like a year ago probably. Like just for having a difference of opinion, I would get into debates, bro. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, it's not like I wanted to debate. It's just that basically you're forced, man. So
yeah, I know.
And at the end of the time, you start liking them and they're entertaining and shit, bro. So long as you don't take them too serious, it's all good, man.
Yeah. I started watching them, and I knew people were debating, so I never got caught off guard by the debates. You know.
So
I knew what I was asking for.
You've been on the UGC for a while then? How long have you been on the UGC?
I mean, I haven't technically been a part of like.
Oh, but you've been listening.
Wise, but I've been listening for a while now. I just decided to recently kind of start talking, I guess.
Yeah, bro, because I think the first time I was on D's channel, I think. And then from there, you jumped on my channel. But I was like, who's this dude? But you know your shit, bro. I'll give you that.
Thanks.
real organized. Like you probably, like Chalik said, you probably keep tabs, write
I do a
notes
little
and
bit.
shit, bro.
I don't. You say you do that, so
I got a little bit, man. I just write shit down, bro, because I forget, man.
I don't think I've written anything down. I have I did look at stuff before I was talking because I don't want to just talk out of my ass, kind of, you know. So I will like research things, but not really ahead of time to catch people off guard. I just kind of like out of curiosity or because it's topical, you know. Like right now, I'm looking a lot into Demetrius Andrade and Liam Williams, and I'm gonna make a video. I was supposed to make it today, but I got distracted, I guess. And I wanted to make a video basically breaking down that fight and who I think has the advantages and disadvantages and who I think's gonna win, you know.
Yeah, and I need to get back to them videos because once you start doing like live streams, like you totally forget to do videos. I
Yeah,
gotta
it
finish
becomes
my
real easy to
rankings.
just do lives, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta finish my rankings. I think I left off at middleweight, so I have the light middleweights, welterweights, and all the way down, bro. I
Yeah.
think that them lighter weight classes are the ones I gotta like really study because from light flyweight, probably flyweight and minimum weight, bro. Like I don't know none of them dudes.
Yeah, I don't know minimum weight very well. I do know bantamweights. I do know flyweights. I think under flyweight, like junior flyweight, I may know a couple people, but I don't really follow like at welterweight and stuff. I'll follow some of the contenders and prospects, and at the lower weights, it's a little more difficult because it's dominated by foreign countries, and a lot of time I don't have access to those fights as easily, you know.
So he's a bantamweight, right? So who else is in this division? Ubali,
Yeah,
I think.
Benito Donaire, Ubali, Tete, Inoue's brother, Inoue.
Yeah, but who are the champions? Ubali and Inoue, that's it.
And Casimiro.
Okay, Casimiro.
Yeah,
Well,
and then
ain't
Inoue is
that
unified.
bad. Ain't that
What
bad.
do you
The
mean?
bantamweight ain't that bad. The division,
No,
it's
I
solid.
think the division's good. I like it. Oh, and Luis Neri technically isn't a title holder, but
Nah,
he's
he moved up.
good.
He
He
moved
moved
up
up
to
officially?
122. Yeah, he moved up, bro.
Oh,
He was
okay.
gonna fight another Mexican dude at 122.
So he's a super bantamweight now.
Yes,
Oh, damn.
but
I know
I
he's
think
with
he's gonna do
Reynoso
better
now.
there.
Yeah, he
He's gonna
probably
do
is.
much better. So he's gonna be
I
stronger.
didn't like him with Freddie Roach, to be honest.
Low
I
key,
feel
I
like Freddie
did.
Roach.
I ain't gonna lie.
You did?
Yeah, but let me tell you
No.
what, because Luis Neri's style is based off Pacquiao. Even he has said in interviews like Pacquiao was his idol. And I think Luis Neri started boxing late in his career. I think he was like 15 or 16. He had very few amateurs, but he said his style, like he would base it off Manny Pacquiao. So if you want to be like Manny Pacquiao or learn a little tricks, I think Freddie Roach was the best option.
Yeah, but what I mean when I'm saying I don't like him with Freddie is, you know, like the kinds of trainers that will keep their fighters disciplined and accountable. For Freddie, there's like a couple of things where he's like, oh, Nettie didn't show up to training camp day one, so I was like, oh, whatever. You know, like I feel like Reynoso won't let that happen, that kind of stuff.
I agree, man.
I've just never heard of someone of Reynoso going, yeah, Canelo didn't show up, you know, or oh, Valdez didn't show up. Yeah, I think they have like a different kind of hunger to be there because you have all these people who are champions around you, you know?
I think once you get a coach or a trainer that you respect, like there's no slacking off because
Exactly.
like, especially these name dudes like Reynoso, Robert Garcia, Buddy McGirt,
Yeah.
all these big name dudes. So you gotta like put in your work. It's not like working out with your father or with a amateur trainer that you brought up from rags to riches, and
Yeah,
they feel like you owe them something.
Yeah, maybe. Like someone more like they have a privilege of being trained by them, you know, not that they deserve to be trained by them. Like, oh, I'm lucky to be trained by Eddie Reynoso or Robert Garcia, like those kinds of like people you were saying, you know, respected
Yeah, like
trainers.
look at the Derek James. Like I like Derek James and I like Spence, but low key I think like Earl Spence don't respect Derek James as much.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
get
if
what you're
Derek
saying.
James tells them I come in at 5 a.m, like I don't think Earl Spence would truly listen. He'll probably come at whatever time he wants, and then he'll call up Derek James. I think that's a
I get what you're
dynamic.
saying. It also depends. I mean, the fighters have to be discipline, but you also have to have a coach that cares. You know, it's not just a paycheck for them, and that's what I'm saying with Freddie Roach. I feel like he has so many fighters. I don't know how much he truly invests in them. You know what I mean?
But
Like
does
how
he?
much he's really. That's what I'm saying.
A
I
lot
don't
of
know.
fighters left
I don't
already.
know. Yeah, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It becomes difficult to tell whether is he not as good of a coach or like I don't think so. I think he's a good coach, but I haven't seen a Freddie Roach fighter win in a while that wasn't Pacquiao, unless there's someone I'm forgetting.
James Toney.
James, I mean that's a while ago, man. You know what I'm saying?
What
Like
about
Alberto Machado was with Freddie Roach. I remember seeing a lot of upsets, and then on the other side is Freddie Roach. You know what I mean?
True. But at the same time, you
Who's
could
on
say
the
the same about Robert Garcia. Like a lot of his fighters lose just because sometimes they're just not talented enough.
Yeah, but I feel like we see it less. I don't know. Like last time that Robert Garcia lost was Mikey, I guess, with Spence.
No,
But then he,
Adames. Adames lost.
oh yeah, no,
A few of his
that was
prospects
like an
lost.
upset, yeah.
He lost to
I'm excited.
Teixeira. To Teixeira for the
That's how
title.
he became champ. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, he has a lot of fighters, but they're more higher level in general. You know, like probably the worst fighter he has, and no disrespect when I say worst, I just mean like, you know, probably not going to be a champion is Josecito Lopez.
Yeah, but he's already like I think Josecito's
Yeah.
just gonna be. He's just collecting checks at this point.
Yeah, and he's still, I mean, disciplined too, and he always gives a good fight. So
Yeah, well,
I
of
can't hate
course.
him,
Like
man.
you want the big fights, man. You want to be fighting Ugas, Keith Thurman. You don't want to be fighting Molinas of this world, man.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He had a chance against Thurman. He almost had him, but he doesn't have that power like that.
We're talking about. I think Ugas and Josecito's a good fight, bro. I think even Josecito might pull it off, but
No,
I
I
want to
think
see that
Ugas
fight.
beats him. I think Ugas
It,
beats him
it
comfortably,
might, but
probably.
it's a good fight. Josecito got the punching power.
I don't know if he does though, because if he did, don't you think he would have beat Thurman?
Yeah, but Thurman's much better than Ugas. Come on, bro.
Much better. I mean, Ugas had a really close fight with Porter, and Porter had a really close fight with Spence. Some people think he beat Spence.
Styles make fights, so I can't really rank them like that.
I think Josecito's like top 20. I think Ugas is top 5.
I think Keith Thurman had the power and the footwork to keep Josecito off. I don't think Ugas has. I don't think his power is a bit overrated, and his footwork's it's okay, but he's more an offensive type of fighter. So that's why I'm saying it would be a war. Of course, I think Ugas would win, but like I think Josecito would have his moments.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I'm just saying overall in that matchup, I favor Ugas. I don't favor Ugas, but I think Ugas has a chance against Crawford. And every time I bring it up, everyone just goes, yeah, and then they talk about something else or Spence. I
To
think
tell you the
Ugas
truth,
can
it's
really
a
give
good fight.
Crawford help.
It's a good fight, but I think Crawford washes low key.
Washes or beats?
I think he beats him like 9-3.
Oh, okay.
10-2.
That would be a really impressive win to me. Like if he did 9-3 or 10-2, that'd be insane to me.
Because I think Crawford's gonna fight much as people think I dislike Crawford, but I think Crawford's gonna do much better against other technical fighters. I think the fighters that give Crawford trouble are somewhat like pressure fighters. So like look at the Postal fight. Postal fight is real technical. I think that was Crawford's best performance.
So you're
because
saying
he's
when people come
actually
to box
thinking.
with him, when they come to box with him, he comes up on top.
Yes. Or they're just technical better. They're not as awkward. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But
so who do you think gives Crawford the most trouble at 147 then?
Errol Spence.
Because he's physical or what?
I think Errol Spence is gonna work behind the jab, which is gonna surprise Crawford. But at the same time, I think he's gonna impose his size. I think it's gonna be a close fight in the beginning rounds. I think Crawford's gonna try to test him in the inside. And once Crawford notices that he can't beat him in the inside, he's gonna try to outbox. But at that point, I think Spence is gonna have too much momentum going forward. I just think he's gonna beat him. It's gonna be a 8-4, 7-5 type of fight. But that's how I see Spence
so close.
beating him. close fight, but Errol Spence wins. Everybody's gonna see Errol Spence winning.
Okay, so you think it's gonna be convincing, like a Canelo Jacobs kind of performance?
There we go. Perfect example. Yes.
Okay, cool. Interesting. I disagree a little, but I respect you, so I'm okay with you saying
Break it
you'll
down.
win.
Go ahead. Break it down.
I don't think Spence has a good jab in like, not that sorry, I don't want to say that because I don't want it to get misconstrued. I think he has a good jab, but I don't think his jab is used as a jab as much as it's used as a spacing tool and to set up his other punches. He doesn't really use his jab to kind of keep people off of him a lot, or he mostly uses it to gauge distance and to set up another punch immediately. He doesn't really throw his jab out there by itself. I think that the southpaw versus southpaw, I don't think I've ever seen Spence versus a good southpaw off the top of my head. I can't. Let me check who the best southpaw has ever fought. But I think that could potentially give him trouble, and I know that Crawford has experience against other southpaws like Postol. So yeah, I think he could also go orthodox if he wanted. He's more versatile in that aspect. I think he has serious power. I think both of them have power, but I think a lot of people kind of like to write off Crawford, and I think his technique is top tier. So I don't think he'll just be able to outbox. I don't think Errol Spence will just be able to outbox him like people are saying. Because if he could, I think he would have done that to Porter. Lamont Peterson, no. Cumber, no. I can't think of the southpaw he fought.
I think his last one was Ronald Cruz. I think that was his last one, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was in 2014. Nobody,
Yeah, but he's used to fighting southpaws because he fought in the Olympics and he's been in the amateur system for years. And most of the Olympic fighters are southpaw.
Most of them? What do you mean most of them? Why? Like who though?
Like a lot of those Russian fighters, Cuban fighters, they're southpaw. Even the Indian dude he lost to in the Olympics, which was overturned, I think he was a southpaw. So it's usually southpaws who he fought in the amateurs.
Oh, sure. I mean, I don't really.
What do you mean, sure? What do you mean, sure, bro?
I don't have any proof of that. I know. I would have to check it out.
No, just
I'm
on
saying
YouTube.
I don't know.
On YouTube, when you have a chance, write this down on your notes so you can remember. Watch Errol Spence amateur fights. Just put Errol Spence amateur fights and some would come out.
Yeah, I mean, I can like I'm saying, I don't remember any off the top of my head. And the amateurs is very different from the pros in terms of the longevity of the fight as well. So
no, because you're saying that he would struggle with the southpaw, and I'm telling you,
no, I'm not saying he would struggle. I'm saying I don't think he's faced any elite level southpaws professionally.
Okay, keep on believing that.
Well, no, am I wrong? Are you saying he's fought elite southpaws at welterweight?
Well, it's not wrong or right. It's just you don't know. That's a question.
No, okay. And my question wasn't whether he had a chance against or that he was good against southpaws. It was I don't believe off the top of my head, and that was correct, he has not faced any elite professional southpaws.
Of course he hasn't, but I'm telling you is that how do you know he would do bad against them? When I'm telling you he won't.
It's a mystery. It's a question mark. So with Spence,
yeah, but that question mark you're doing is trying to question if he's really good against southpaw. So I understand what you're trying to say. I'm just breaking it down.
Yeah, I'm questioning it because I don't think I've seen it, because I haven't seen it. And the issue with Spence right now, especially, is we don't know how he's going to come back from this fight. He could have a close fight with Danny Garcia. He could vacate the title. He could lose to Danny Garcia. There's a lot of question marks with Spence right now, and that's one of the main reasons right now, especially. I made a list, I don't know if you saw, of my top 5 welterweights, and number 2 wasn't number 2. Number 2 was 1B, because I had Spence at 1B and then Crawford at 1A. Because if you have Crawford above Spence, I'm all good with that. If you have Spence above Crawford, I'm all good with that. But the issue right now is that Crawford has a better resume in totality because he was undisputed at 140, and Spence just came off of a car accident, a drunk driving accident. And I don't know where his mind and his actual body, and I don't even know whether he'll fight at 147 again. He could not be able to make weight after this. especially with the epidemic delaying him, he might grow even more, right? Or not grow,
Yeah,
but it
but all
might become
that's
more difficult to weight cut.
speculations. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
so that's what
speculate.
I'm
I'm
saying.
just gonna
My
go
issue,
by what I've seen.
I know, but my issue is that we haven't seen Spence after, and that's why I have an issue. That's why it's a question mark, and that's why the question marks aren't good, because the more questions you have about a fighter, that's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but don't question it. That's what I'm saying.
You know
Look
what I mean? I have to question it.
look at the fighting styles. That's what I'm telling you to see, because that's the best way to break down fights.
Yeah, but because that fight hasn't already happened, if I want to predict the fight, I can't predict the fight assuming he's going to be at the top of his game, because I haven't seen it. You know, that's like saying assuming he's going to be better than he's going to be better than after
if
the
you
Porter
have
fight
question
happened.
marks, I have question marks about Terrence Crawford. How is he going to
Okay,
do
like
against
what?
a top elite welterweight when he's never fought one? That's a big
That's
question
a fair
mark.
question. That is a fair question. But we have things to look at, like you saying, you know, Spencer's fought southpaws. We have things to look at. We've seen him against top 140 pounders, and he dominated. We've seen him against Jeff Horn,
What
who's a
about the
middleweight
question
now,
mark?
and he
What about
TKO'd
a
him.
question mark that Terrence Crawford probably hurt his toe, and he's not gonna go 100% in the Earl Spence fight? What about that question mark?
What do you mean? What?
Or what about the question mark that Terrence Crawford he's thinking about retiring because he injured his pinky? What about that question mark?
Well, that's not a real question mark, though. That's
How do you know? How do you know? It's a speculation. You're speculating, so why can't I speculate?
No, Hefe, you're getting like in your like I don't know, upset or something. When I have question marks about Spence, it's not because I doubt him negatively, but I doubt because I have proof. I've seen something that leads to doubt.
Let me tell you this.
I haven't seen Crawford break his pinky, and I've heard him say,
I broke my pinky.
I want to retire.
Let me tell you this. Me and you could have a debate, man, about this subject. Let's set it up tomorrow. It could be your channel, my channel. Don't matter. So be ready, man. Just be ready.
Are we doing a debate? I thought you said you got other people, other business or something.
No, because I could body you easily in the subject. So let's set that up for tomorrow,
Dude,
bro.
I didn't even say Spence doesn't win. I'm not debating right now.
What time are you available? What time are you available?
No, it depends. It really depends.
Okay, so just let me know in the comment section. One of my videos, man, and we'll set that up.
But Hefe, I'm not saying Spence.
You have a good one, bro. You have a good one, bro. I'm out, man.
I'm not gonna debate you on a topic I don't believe in. Oh my god. Okay, I don't even know if anyone's watching right now. But I'm not debating in something I don't really strongly believe in at all. So I said Spence could win. I said he could put Spence as number one, and I wouldn't mind. I just have some question marks. Like, I don't know how he's gonna look or if he'll make 147, because an action is physically it takes a physical toll on you. So yeah, I thought we had a good discussion today. Looks like Hefe just put peace in the chat. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up. If anyone's in the comments wants me to say anything, I'm going to upload a video tomorrow breaking down Demetrius Andrade versus Liam Williams, which Liam Williams is the mandatory for Demetrius Andrade's WBO title. So I'm gonna break that fight down. I'm gonna see who has advantages, disadvantages, the toolkit and skill set each fighter brings into that fight. My final prediction, and yeah, I might be on the live. I'm not sure tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be busy or not, but thank you everyone for watching. I thought we had a good debate earlier with Get This Smoke. Hef is funny. So yeah, good night, and make sure to like and subscribe. And thank you everyone. We reached 100 subscribers, and that's really cool because I've been really enjoying myself with these lives and these videos and just the community that I've seen here on the YPBC. So I'll try to keep producing content and keep making live streams that are enjoyable. And yeah, just thank you again. All right, peace.